The protagonist of this story, Chen Yu, accidentally ends up migrating to a parallel world, one infested with monsters. Monsters so powerful that they can obliterate armored tanks with just a swipe of their hand. While traditional weapons were basically glorified water pistols, humanity caught a break with the appearance of people who awakened key energy. These key users fought off the monsters and brought peace back. Thus began the era of national martial arts practice, and Qingqing City's second high school is one of the institutes that nurtures new talent. Right now, Chen Yu is dozing off in the classroom, and his complete lack of attention earns him a solid strike on the head from his teacher. Bro finally snaps out of his daydreaming and starts panicking like the world's ending. But turns out, it's just his angry homeroom teacher yapping nonstop. Seems like teachers aren't particularly fond of Chen Yu. Probably because he's not exactly a straight A student. Apparently, Chen Yu transmigrated into a totally ordinary dude with zero martial arts talent. He's now a senior high school student, about to take the college entrance exam that's just around the corner. And he's convinced that unless he awakens some sort of cheat-like upgrade system, his life is basically doomed. Not to mention, he won't be able to escape this teacher's constant nagging. As fate would have it, a system window suddenly flashes before his eyes, calling him an illegal alien intruder who doesn't belong in this world. After that, the system inflicts him with a curse for transmigrating to a planet that isn't his. Once the curse is complete, a system window pops up showing his stats. The only important detail is that the system literally classifies him as a weak-ass runt, with pathetically low key energy. Before Bro can even process what's happening, his trash teacher pops up again to remind him how worthless he is, a perfect fit for mopping floors and cleaning classrooms. And it's not just this fat ass. Literally every teacher in the school looks down on Chen Yu. The sting of humiliation hits hard, but it looks like Chen Yu won't be a loser for long. Turns out, his newly awakened system rewards him with stat boosts every time he's humiliated. And since his teacher just roasted him again, the system gives him some shiny new stat points. Needing time to process all this nonsense, Chen Yu dashes out of the classroom and hides in an alley near the school. Surprisingly enough, the system gives him even more stat points for not being a responsible student. Chen Yu doesn't even have to think too hard to figure out that his system literally rewards him for slacking off and getting disrespected. The more he goofs around or gets roasted, the more attribute points he earns. On the flip side, if he works hard and people praise him, his stats will drop. Still, he wants to test this theory properly before jumping to conclusions. For now, his main goal is to increase his key energy as much as possible. As he walks through the streets, he runs into two lovebirds engaged in an intense lip-lock session. Seeing this smelly virgin loser hovering nearby, the couple shoos him away like a stray dog, which earns our boy some charm and confidence points just for being humiliated. Plot twist, that girl is not some horny teenager. She's a literal succubus who just sucked the life out of that poor bastard. Sirens of danger start blaring in Chen Yu's head when he sees the dude lying dead on the ground, totally drained. This nasty woman is actually a poisonous gas parasite beast, a parasitic creature developed specifically to target humans. It latches onto human bodies and releases paralyzing toxic gas. She sticks out her creepy-ass tongue and slaps the absolute hell out of Chen Yu. And for getting slapped pathetically, the system rewards him with blood and key energy points. But seriously, what's the point of gaining stats if Bro's just gonna get humiliated and beaten into a pulp? He definitely doesn't want to die. See, if his vital organs such as his lungs, heart, or head get wrecked, he won't be able to revive, no matter how much key energy he stacks. The monster lands another blow, finally rendering him immobile. She climbs on top of him while flexing her massive guyat. As she starts sucking his face and releasing poison, Bro's key energy begins to rise. Even while being assaulted, this dude has the audacity to call her out for her horrible breath, which just earns him even more abuse. But hey, his provocation gets him another 390 blood points. This time she opens her mouth, literally a whole foot wide, trying to devour him alive. Poison leaks out of her throat like a broken sewer pipe and starts seeping into Bro's nostrils. We all know he deliberately provoked her just to inhale more of that stanky toxin straight into his lungs. Bro goes full junkie mode, inhaling like it's premium-grade cultivation fuel. As the poison floods his lungs, the system starts bombarding him with non-stop notifications, each one proudly announcing how many points he's racking up. Eventually he collapses. Turns out there is a limit to how much poison one man can take. As he lies there helpless, that crazy parasite beast lady sees her opportunity and pounces on him. But just when it looks like game over, my guy rises from the ground like a damn zombie out of a grave. He grabs both her hands and punches the absolute hell out of her. The impact is so brutal, it drills a hole clean through her belly. Her milkers literally explode on the spot. Bro just went full Saitama mode. The only key difference is that Saitama trained hard to get there, but Chen Yu got stronger by being bullied and gassed. The commotion grabs the attention of nearby onlookers, but before anyone sees his face, Chen Yu bolts from the scene. About half an hour later, a beautiful woman shows up at the crime scene to investigate. Turns out that parasite beast was a scout for mutated monsters that have snuck into the city. What really grabs her attention is the strike that killed the beast. It's so powerful, it had to come from at least a level 2 cultivator. And yet there's no sign of who did it. Meanwhile, our boy finally makes it back home. His mom's busy in the kitchen, so he sneaks into his room before she notices the bloodstains on his clothes. Except someone is already in his room, his hot older sister. Naturally, she notices the blood and questions him about it. He just shrugs and says he tripped and fell, then rushes to the bathroom to change. She keeps teasing him with a fake Northeast accent she picked up from a coworker. Luckily, the system grants him a spirit point just for being teased. Later, the family sits at the table for dinner. His mom has cooked up a whole buffet of delicious dishes, surprising Chen Yu. Seeing all this food, Chen Yu feels warmth within him. His surroundings may have changed, but his family is almost exactly like the ones he had in his original world. Out of habit, he teases his sister by dropping onions on her plate. She retaliates by dropping a tissue straight into his rice bowl. Before their teasing morphs into an absolute sibling fight, their mom intervenes. As he continues to eat, his stats start to drop. Hunger, health, everything. All thanks to this cursed reverse system. His sister notices the sudden dip in his mood and assumes he's upset over her teasing. Trying to make it up to him, she slides a small box across the table. Inside are the chi-enhancing elixir. This stuff is so rare and expensive. Chen Yu wonders if she had to put her virginity on the line to get it. Naturally, she bonks him on the head for saying something so messed up. Her name, by the way, is Saiwen. She saved up for this elixir and even paid in installments to afford it. 2 years ago, someone intentionally destroyed her spiritual sea during the college entrance exam arena. Since then, she's lost her powers and become a regular person. That's why she cares about Chen Yu so much. She wants him to rise as high as he can in the cultivation world. So, he takes the pill, and instantly loses 3 days worth of cultivation progress. That's right, the pill had such a reverse effect, it drained his stats instead of boosting them. His sister quickly snatches the box back, worried he might sell the rest on the black market. She decides to personally give him 1 pill every 2 days instead. Later that evening, Chen Yu walks alone through the streets, thinking of ways to fast-track his cultivation. Eventually, he decides to try something like that poison incident again. He pulls out his phone and starts looking up the best toxic stuff known to wreck a person's spiritual sea. After taking notes on every sketchy drug and method he can find, he decides to start small. So he pays a visit to local 7-Eleven. For his test run, he settles on something a little less lethal, such as cigarettes. Behind the counter stands a lady with massive hooters, and my guy can barely hold himself together just looking at her. He asks for a pack of cigarettes, but she walks up to him and reminds him he's a minor. Then after insulting him a bit, she struts right past him. Bro takes that personally. In a brilliant act of revenge, he throws a string of firecrackers at her back, grabs the pack of cigarettes, drops the money on the counter like a gentleman, and bolts out of the store. Later, Bro finishes the entire pack of cigarettes in just a few minutes. He's looking worse for wear after inhaling that stuff. If he has to be honest, it tastes worse than dog poop. But the trouble finally pays off. He gains 98 key energy points, and now he is officially a level 0.3 cultivator. To put that into perspective, a level 0.5 cultivator would be considered a top-tier 11th grader. A level 0.8 cultivator is practically a top 10 student at the whole school. If you hit level 1, you could get a good job right out of high school, no degree needed, and the salary will also be pretty damn sweet. For Chen Yu, this means he just needs a few more packs of cigarettes and he can skip all the other stuff, directly jumping into the college entrance exam as a level 1 cultivator. He's daydreaming about his next steps when 2 thugs show up and start bullying him. Apparently, the spot where Chen Yu smoked his pack of cigarettes is part of their turf. These chain smokers are not vibing with him occupying their territory. They threaten to report him to the school for smoking, and the consequences won't be pretty. Chen Yu knows these guys. One is Da-chun while the other goes by the name Da-kyu. They're the classic campus bullies, always extorting weaker students for their stuff. One of the jerks grabs Chen Yu by the collar and demands that he cough up more cigarette packs or face a beating. Chen Yu earnestly tells them it was his first and last pack, so he has nothing else. The bullies order him to go get more. But here's the thing, Chen Yu is broke as hell and has nothing left. Since he's not offering them any value, they decide to use him as a punching bag. Underestimating our boy is the first and last mistake this bastard is gonna make. In one move, Chen Yu punches Da-kyu so hard that the guy goes flying. The other guy, Da-chun, is standing there with his eyes nearly popping out of his skull, freaking out because his friend just got knocked out with one punch, and his friend is supposed to be a level 1 cultivator. It looks like Da-chun didn't learn anything from his buddy's mistake, and tries to attack Chen Yu. That ends just as badly. One gut-wrenching punch, and Da-chun's out of commission too. Shortly after, the crowd that starts to gather around is left in shock as they witness the 2 bullies, completely stripped naked, lying on the ground, vulnerable for all the passing students to see. Chen Yu, on the other hand, walks away like a true Chad, oozing confidence. He's gotten so strong, he's starting to wonder how the hell it happened. Seriously, all he did was smoke that foul-tasting cigarette pack, worse than any crap he's ever had to deal with. Now, he's debating whether he should smoke 100 packs or maybe even 1,000 next. He's already picturing himself ranking at the top of the cultivation world. Once he's strong enough, his next goal is to win the heart of the lady he loves the most. His irritating teacher suddenly appears out of nowhere, eavesdropping on his thoughts. Of course, this bastard scares the hell out of Chen Yu. He then starts with his usual insults, calling Chen Yu pathetic. He says Chen Yu needs to step out of his comfort zone. Instead of daydreaming, focusing on cultivation would actually be useful for his future. The dude is so annoying, Chen Yu can barely keep it together. The teacher goes on and on, giving instructions on how to gather ki and feel the spiritual sea inside his body. Chen Yu gets into position just to shut the guy up. But as usual, his efforts lead to disaster. The system starts deducting ki energy points, because he's trying too hard. In just 10 minutes, he loses a bunch of ki energy, sacrificing all that just to appease his trash teacher and get out of this mess. And then, the announcement blares across the school grounds, telling all homeroom teachers to lead their students to the field and line them up in positions. The pledge ceremony at the school is finally about to begin. The principal, standing at the podium, enthusiastically announces to the gathered students that the battle for the college entrance exam spirit is right around the corner. This is a pivotal moment in their lives, a moment that will determine the direction of their futures. While the instructor drones on about the importance of the ceremony, the focus shifts to Chen Yu, who stands amidst the crowd. The students behind him mock and ridicule him, laughing at his expense. But strangely, instead of feeling discouraged, Chen Yu feels more confident. Every insult, every jeer, is only pushing him to prove them wrong and gaining him stat points in the process. Some of the insults hit below the belt. They call him gay, say his family eats shit because of how poor they are. This goes too far, and Chen Yu, unable to hold it in any longer, explodes in frustration. The crowd grows more aggressive, spitting even more venom at him. But for Chen Yu, it's a win-win. Their words are making him stronger, and every insult is making him the opposite of what they think. It's almost ironic how much they're helping him by tearing him down. Meanwhile, a model student takes the stage, a figure of grace and success. Her name is Xing Bi, a student at Capital University and the vice chairwoman of the Cultivator Union. Once she was the top student at this school, and now she's a high achiever at Capital University. Chen Yu's teacher, upon seeing her, is completely smitten. He tells Chen Yu to take notes and learn from someone like her. But Chen Yu isn't impressed. In fact, he loathes her. This is the same girl who, during the college entrance examination 2 years ago, deliberately destroyed his sister's spiritual sea and ruined her cultivation base. Xingbi steps up to the podium, greeted by applause, and begins her speech. Her words drip with disdain as she declares that those who are useless shouldn't even be eligible for the exam. They only waste educational resources and squander their time. She points out that people like Chen Yu, who fail time and time again, are exactly the type of student she's talking about. Her words sting, and her lack of mercy is evident as she singles out Chen Yu as an example of everything that's wrong with the school. Chen Yu's teacher tries to apologize for not producing a good student out of our boy, but the principal reassures the teacher. It's not his fault. Chen Yu is just an insignificant parasite, a burden on the school. He believes that getting rid of students like him is the best option. After all, the school prides itself on producing exceptional talent. People like Xingbi, who are capable of representing the school on a national level. The insults continue, but what really takes the cake is when Xingbi spits on her own shoes and then orders Chen Yu to lick them. If he does, she promises to write him a recommendation letter to ensure he won't end up like his trash sister. But Chen Yu in response calls her a bitch right to her face. The audacity of this guy blows everyone's mind. The crowd goes crazy, shocked that Chen Yu refused to lick her boots. But then he ups the ante. He proposes a bet. If he fails to get into university, he'll get on his knees and lick her boots just like she asked. But if he succeeds, she'll have to apologize to his sister. Xingbi takes the bait and agrees to the bet. A smile spreads across Chen Yu's face, knowing that soon, he'll get to crush her fragile ego. But just when he thinks things are going his way, trouble comes in the form of that same big-hootered lady from earlier. She brings the police along, accusing Chen Yu of stealing cigarettes from her store. The poor guy is terrified, not knowing how to get out of this one. A while later, Chen Yu finds himself in the principal's office, surrounded by all the authority figures. He narrowly avoids the charges of theft since he dropped the money at the scene, and with the shop owner's consent, no charges are pressed. Since it's his first offense, the officer decides not to arrest him. For now, he's off the hook. However, he still has to face the principal, who is far from pleased. Xingbi takes the opportunity to threaten him with permanent expulsion. If that happens, he won't be able to take the college entrance exam, and he'll lose by default. This is then Chen Yu's homeroom teacher suggests principal to think the otherwise. But the trash principal still hands Chen Yu the expulsion notice, telling him that he is no longer a student of second high school. The teacher tries to convince the principal, but Chen Yu stops him and tears up the expulsion notice in front of everyone. With an aura of a true Chad, he walks out, promising that he will pass the entrance exam. Meanwhile, Chen Yu's teacher watches, still bewildered by how the expelled student can act so high and mighty. As Chen Yu leaves, reality starts to hit him like a bolt of lightning. He's now out of school, and without a way to take the exam, he's in serious trouble. He fears he might be forced to do what he promised in the bet, which is to lick Xingbi's boots, and the thought terrifies him. Chen Yu returns to the tobacco shop to confront the woman who caused his downfall. He yells at her for getting him expelled, but she reminds him that she promised not to press charges, so it's not her fault. Despite his frustration, Chen Yu acknowledges her words and realizes that what's happened is karma for his previous trouble. He sincerely apologizes for causing her any problems. Seeing how genuinely apologetic he is, the big hooter lady softens. She decides to offer him a job. Seeing Chen Yu's good looks, she thinks they could capitalize on his appearance to earn some money. But Chen Yu isn't interested in anything that might compromise his dignity and refuses the offer. He then once again throws a tantrum, wondering how she could destroy the life of a promising student like him. Once again, her expression softens as she realizes that she is indeed the one who ruined this boy's school life. So, she starts to feel sorry for him and agrees to help. Chen Yu, seeing this as his chance, asks her to find a school where he can enroll and still have a shot at taking the exam. The woman, clearly impressed by his dedication, agrees to help, but on one condition. He has to work for her to repay the money he owes for the cigarettes he took. With no choice, Chen Yu simply says yes. Working with a hot milker lady is not that bad after all. The next day, he starts working at the shop while she handles the task of finding him a new school. At first, he regrets agreeing to her terms, worried she might push him too hard. But as the day goes on, he starts to slack off, drinking soda and gaming to pass the time. What's amazing about all this is that slacking off at the shop is giving him free stat points, and his key energy increases rapidly. Just as he's enjoying his break, a new customer walks in. This customer, a middle-aged man named Cannon, is a level 0.4 cultivator. He isn't here to buy tobacco, but rather to find Chen Yu. When Chen Yu confirms he's the guy in question, the man begins to mock him, and Chen Yu wonders what this guy's deal is. In order to get answers who this bastard really is, the scene flashes back to the two bullies who had gotten beaten by Chen Yu earlier. They had gone to their master and begged him to seek revenge. The baldy accepts the job immediately, eager to get back at the kid who embarrassed his subordinates. Back in the present, the baldy requests a pack of Mediterranean cigarettes. Chen Yu simply grabs the pack and promptly proceeds to hand over the pack and asks for the 45,000 yuan he owes. But instead of paying, the baldy squeezes Chen Yu's hand in a vicious grip, thinking he's about to crush the young man's bones. But reality turns out totally different. The baldy bastard ends up getting his wrist bones broken. Meanwhile, my guy stays completely unbothered, acting like he's just having a good time shaking hands with the first customer. Then, my guy applies just a bit more pressure, and the wrist joint starts cracking too, making the baldy bastard scream in pain like he just got boned from behind. Chen Yu doesn't stop there. He literally grinds all the bones in the bastard's hand by shaking it like he's trying to start a lawnmower. Eventually, the baldy bastard runs out of the place with his broken hand, whining like the little bitch he is. He's in such a hurry, he even forgets to take his cigarettes. Since the bastard left them behind, Chen decides to treat them as a gift and helps himself. A while later, he starts counting up all the cash he made selling stuff in the store. Turns out this little shop is raking in a surprising amount of money on the daily. Before going any further, he decides to stash the money in the cabinet. But when he opens it, he finds panties, clearly belonging to some young lady. And of course, the only other person with access to that cabinet is the big hooter lady. So yeah, it's definitely her stuff. His intrusive, pervy thoughts kick in, and he starts thinking about clapping her one day, especially since she straight up said she's into younger men. Bro freezes the moment she sneaks up behind him. She asks what he meant by clapping. Caught red-handed thinking about her, all he can do is stand there nervously under her gaze. She then invites him to her room, saying there's something she desperately wants to show him. But since my guy isn't in the mood for surprises, he turns her down. Back to business, he asks if she found any suitable school. Sadly, she hits him with the bad news. Then she asks how his cultivation is going. That's when the idiot reflects on how he's been slacking off this whole time without any issues, which basically means that he had been working hard. Bro's logic sounds like someone who successfully fails every task. Meanwhile, the big hooter lady starts admiring this dumbass again for being so hard-working and dedicated. Looks like she's starting to fall for him, and now she wants to lock him down before any other girl shows up. Back to business again. She asks if he's been keeping up with the news. Apparently, inside the 341B space portal, there's a strong radiation field that's been killing people left and right. No one even dares to go near that place anymore, which of course makes it the perfect place for our guy. A radiation-infested zone sounds like a safe haven for uninterrupted cultivation. The next day he shows up at the facility where the portal's located. Standing there in his radiation-proof suit, my guy thinks about the rumors that the space portal in Qingcheng City has the highest mortality rate. Because of the extreme danger, the number of cultivators coming here to hunt treasures has dropped hard. Those who still show up at the 341B portal are just straight-up fearless badasses. But being a badass means nothing when the radiation can literally mess with your mind. And all the injured people limping out are living proof. And Chen Yu isn't planning on joining them in the hospital. Before he enters, one of the instructors gives him the necessary instructions and tells him to twist the anti-radiation activation key on his chest. Once he does, the anti-radiation shield activates, and now he's clear to move around inside the space portal. He's warned not to turn off the anti-radiation shield inside. Finally, my guy steps through to the other side of the portal, and contrary to what he expected, it just looks like a space station where a bunch of people are chilling. But then bam! He drops to his knees, overwhelmed by a wave of excruciating pain. He starts feeling dizzy, like his blood's boiling inside his veins. Onlookers gather, watching him struggle like a crippled dog. They scoff, mocking how this dude had the audacity to enter with such weak-ass ki energy. His condition gets worse as the radiation creeps into his body, and it feels like his heart's about to explode. Panic breaks out. People are yelling to get him help before he dies. But then a plot twist happens. My guy stands back up, his whole vibe doing a 360. He's grinning like a kid in a candy store after getting a sugar rush. Turns out, everything went just as he planned. The curse reversed the radiation into a stat buff. And now, he's feeling something so indescribably refreshing it's like pure bliss. According to the info he managed to gather, the deeper you go into the 341b space portal, the higher the radiation levels get. So far, not a single cultivator has dared to venture that deep. Because of how dangerous the place is, treasure hunting activities have also been officially prohibited. As he pushes further in, he feels the intensity rise, but that only fuels his motivation. Before he knows it, he's gotten as far in as anyone ever has. Once he reaches a dead end, he decides it's time. He deactivates his anti-radiation shield, and the moment he does, he gets hit by an absolutely insane wave of pain that he can barely withstand. Radiation starts attacking him from all directions, trying to force its way into his body. But my guy can feel it. His stats are rising, and he's on the verge of evolution. 3 hours later, he's on the ground. Not from exhaustion, but because he just had the time of his life cultivating and leveling up like crazy. Sure, the radiation is deadly, but to him, it felt more like a full-body massage from a squad of elite masseuses. Invigorating. Detoxifying. Great for the skin even. He's already spent more time here than he should have, so he bolts for the exit. Once he's out, he notices that the other contestants in the portal have started throwing hands. The woman exchanging blows with some blonde guy is Bahuang Yao, the daughter of the Bahuang family. She demands to know who these goons are and why they're attacking her. The blondie doesn't answer. He just sneers and tells his thugs to take her down. Turns out he's planning to sell her off to the Fairness Association for a solid payday. But the lady kicks one of the brainless fools like he's a damn soccer ball, then drops another with a single punch. That's when Blondie sees his opening and charges in, his fist loaded with energy. But the lady straight up vanishes, leaving his punch swinging through empty air. She reappears above him and stomps him into the ground like a cockroach. After those acrobatics, she lands back down. Looks like this idiot underestimated her strength, and now he's learning the hard way. But according to him, she's not invincible. She suddenly collapses. Turns out, this crazy bastard threw some kind of projectile earlier that ripped her suit. Actually, this bastard had already secretly punctured her protective suit before entering the portal. Every time she exerts force, it wears down more. Without protection from the anti-radiation shield, even the daughter of the Bahuang family is just another injured mammal. As she lies there helpless, the bastard decides to go for her gayat. That's when my guy steps up and grabs his filthy hand before he can humiliate her. The gayat lady's hazy eyes can't even make out the face of the gigachad who just stepped in to save her, and she passes out. Blondie's not vibing with the fact that someone interrupted his fun. He punches our boy as hard as he can under the chin. Chen gets annoyed, so he decides to throw a punch of his own. But he misses, and gets clocked again by that bastard. Another brutal punch hits him right in the face, but instead of pain, it's just free stat points and health. Blondie starts feeling smug. He thinks he's got this handled. Chen Yu tries again, misses again and gets hit again. He keeps going, trying to land just one damn hit. But every time he ends up taking the full brunt of the attacks. Thing is, he's doing this on purpose, taking the hits to level up. Blondie, meanwhile, is getting tired. He's thrown so many blows he's almost out of stamina, so he pulls out his last trump card. He calls out to his battered goons, and together, the trio casts some green electric technique that starts tearing Chen Yu apart from the inside. But we all know how much of a masochist our boy is. All this pain is just pure pleasure flowing through his body. Blondie smirks and says the real pain starts now. This technique doesn't just zap you, it consumes your internal energy, makes your body heavier, and causes your organs to fail. Even your ki gets corrupted. But all these side effects are just music to our boy's ears. He flips the middle finger right in the bastard's face. The trio starts zapping the hell out of him again, and this masochist is straight up loving every second of it. Not getting enough reaction, they crank up the intensity. It only fuels his twisted pleasure even more. Soon he's down on his knees, mind going numb, eyes rolled back, cheeks red, completely lost in the sensation. Blondie is drained. All those electric zaps did nothing but get our boy more hyped. Now Blondie wants to end it with one final strike, to obliterate Chen's head. But before he can, boom, our guy throws a surprise punch right into his crotch. Explosion of balls happens, and his entire generation splatters everywhere. With that one jackass down, my guy cleans up the rest of the goons like trash day. The girl starts regaining consciousness, and through her hazy vision, she sees her savior. After looting those broke-ass goons for their credit cards and cash, our boy scoops up the girl and starts heading out. The guys in the facility scramble to get the doctor. After all, they're talking about the daughter of the Bahuang family. Once my guy hands the lady over to the capable hands of the staff, he decides it's time to leave. now that he's fulfilled his duty. A little while later, he takes off his anti-radiation suit and stands there naked. Soon enough, all of the juicy stats start piling up. To feel the power, he strikes the air and can tell he's brimming with strength. But then he notices his nose bleeding. That's pretty alarming. Plus, the stats aren't increasing as wildly as they were before. This means his body has hit its limit, and if he pushes any further, it could be lethal. To put it in perspective, it's like falling into magma. No matter how much HP a person has, their body is still going to be burned away. He quickly gets back into his suit and rushes to be sanitized as soon as possible. After going through the decontamination room, the girl working in the facility tells him to take off his clothes and leave them there for examination and to ensure they don't have any traces of radiation that could harm him later. He does as he's told, and when his chiseled body with a six-pack comes into view, all the female assistants in the room start getting flustered. One of the assistants, wanting to see more of his body, asks him to take off his boxers as it's mandatory for a thorough examination. It's clear he knows what these ladies are thinking, so he's definitely not going to take off his boxers. Still, the eager girls cling to him under the pretense of an examination. One even starts rubbing her big chest against him. As tempting as this soft touch might be, he's a total giga-chad and pushes the lady away. Later, as Chen Yu stands outside the cultivator test room, two guys show up and start throwing jabs at him. They're sure they've seen him before and heard he's the first student in high school to get expelled right before the college entrance exam. Basically, these two are just picking on him. But my guy has nothing to prove. He simply shakes hands with them and admits they're right. Inside the cultivator training room, the guys are going crazy with their usual training. One of the guys who had been trash-talking punches the strength gauging machine hard and gets a score of 0.2. The guy smugly claims he only used half of his power, even though it's obvious he put everything into that strike. They challenge our boy to throw a punch himself. Whoever scores higher wins, and the loser has to run 3 laps naked. While running, losers will also have to call themselves idiots out loud. Of course, my guy is totally down for this, and when he starts throwing punches, he literally demolishes the machine, leaving those guys staring wide-eyed. The guy who scored 0.2 pulls out his own power gauging machine and wants Chen to try it, claiming the other one must be malfunctioning. Chen's more than ready, and with just one punch, the guy holding the machine gets sent flying into the wall, along with the machine. The score on the machine is even higher than before, which just scares the guy even more. This jerk, who was so cocky before, is now a sobbing mess. Chen makes sure to give both of them what they deserve. After knocking them out, he ties them up naked. Since they can't call themselves idiots as part of their bet, Chen leaves a note saying they're the stupid asses. Later, Chen returns to the tobacco store. Since the shop is closed, he tries sneaking into the apartments above through the window. To his surprise, he finds the big busted shop owner casually lounging on her bed, her assets sagging. He's startled, trips, and lands right on her soft, jiggly body. It looks like she's already been watching some dirty stuff and is ready for a fun time with him. But Chen quickly runs downstairs since he needs to open the shop. While he's working in the shop, the lady decides to go find a school for him. Chen puts some of his money in the drawer and grabs a pack of cigarettes for himself. He lights up dozens of cigarettes at once and starts inhaling deeply. The rush of stats makes him feel totally turned on. He's smoking so much at once that he accidentally triggers the fire alarm, setting off a shower to put out any potential fire. We then cut to this company known as the Levy Group. Inside the building, we see that pathetic blondie who got his balls busted. He's reporting to his boss, delivering the sad news that he failed to kidnap the daughter of the Bahuang family. The reason being that someone intervened and saved her. Without wasting a second, the boss shoots the blondie bastard on the spot for his failure, then orders the other lackeys to track down the savior of the Bahuang family's daughter and kill him. Cut back to the tobacco store. Chen is dozing off when suddenly his phone starts blaring. Turns out it's his mom calling with some great news. His sister's getting engaged. The news hits Chen like a truck. His sister complains about everything, so the fact she found a guy is shocking on a spiritual level. Later, at home, we meet this baldy bastard who turns out to be Saiwen's fiancé. The moment Chen walks in, the bald dude mistakes him for her ex-boyfriend. Chen, staying chill, just snatches the cup from the bald guy's hands. After all, as Saiwen's brother, he's basically a father figure. And as per Chinese tradition, he accepts the teacup. Chen then starts interrogating the bald dude, asking his name and age. The sweaty bastard introduces himself as Wang Shude, 34 years old. Chen keeps grilling him. Wang claims to be the son of the factory owner where Saiwen works. Says he owns a villa, a few apartments in high-end communities, and even drove a BMW today. Oh, and he's got enough savings to live comfortably. Chen then hits him with the real question. Why choose his sister? That's when Wang's true nature leaks out. He says he likes women with big personality and a curvy body. Seeing how creepy this bastard is, Chen comes up with an excuse and shuts the whole thing down, refusing to hand over his sister. Of course, his sister snaps and starts beating the crap out of him. After watching Chen get the smackdown of a lifetime, the creepy sucker instantly changes his mind about marrying Saiwen. Later, she drags Chen inside and demands to know what that was all about. Turns out, Chen figured out she's only marrying that rich bald guy for one thing, chi-enhancing elixirs. She's a little embarrassed getting exposed like that, but in the end, she admits she's willing to do anything, as long as Chen becomes the best cultivator and makes her proud. For some reason, Chen suddenly flips and starts calling that bald creep his brother-in-law, like nothing ever happened. Even Saiwan is shocked by how fast he switched sides. To talk privately, Chen invites his new brother-in-law to a footbath center. Clearly, Chen's trying to capitalize on the situation, making this bald idiot pay for all the expensive stuff. Soon enough, the manager walks over. It's obvious he already knows Wang. Turns out Wang's brought plenty of clients here before, so it's no surprise he's a regular. As they walk in, the manager whispers to Wang about the new girls they just hired. Wang tells him to keep it quiet as he doesn't want his fiancé's brother knowing what kind of pervy stuff he used to get up to. Just the thought of clapping young cheeks has this guy drooling. Anyway, they sit down in the lounge, and Wang pulls out a wad of cash, telling the manager to give Chen Yu the best this place has to offer. Not long after, 3 big hooter ladies show up, all ready to serve. One of them sits right next to Chen. Since he's too young to drink alcohol, she offers her milk. Well, it looks like it's not the milk she's talking about. It's the glass of wine nestled between her massive chest. She wants him to drink it from there. Chen takes the liquor, and as soon as he chugs it, boom, stat points increase. The other booba girls start rubbing up on him too, racking up even more stats. Since Wang is paying 1,000 wen per drink, Chen wonders how much he's gonna earn for each glass. Wang, trying to get Chen drunk and knock him out so he can have the ladies all to himself, offers 30,000 wen if Chen drinks all of it. Chen plays along, drinks all the booze, then pretends to be knocked out cold. Thinking the coast is clear, the bald perv rips off his shirt and gets busy with the ladies. Meanwhile, Chen had already set up his phone on livestream, broadcasting everything this creep is doing to the world. Wang ends up arrested, publicly exposed, while Chen got his cash and had the time of his life. Later, our guy returns to the tobacco shop, completely exhausted. There, the big hooter lady gives him the good news that she's finally found a school for him. Bro lights up like a kid in a candy store. Later, he's seen receiving a fresh shipment of cigarette supplies from a delivery guy. But unbeknownst to Chen, 3 shady figures are lurking behind him. And yeah, their target is Chen himself. These wannabe Power Ranger clowns finally reveal themselves. Their weird antics make Chen turn around and question them who the hell they even are. The redhead reminds Chen of the incident at Portal 341B, where Chen ruined their plan to kidnap the Bahuang family's daughter. They still haven't forgotten about their blondie friend, the one who got his balls busted and died a dog's death. But in the end, these fools are the ones who get their asses whooped. After getting the beating of a lifetime, that redhead bastard starts losing his mind, yelling about how the hell Chen got all this power. Even then, he refuses to betray his boss or spill any info. He insists the only way Chen can survive is by joining the Levy Group. You see, Levy Group is one of the major shareholders of the 341B space portal. And since Chen ruined their plan of kidnapping the daughter of the Bahuang family, there's no way they'll just let him walk away. Hearing this, Chen finally connects the dots that these goons are tied to that one guy whose balls he crushed inside the portal. Meanwhile, the redhead continues ranting about the consequences if Chen doesn't join them. But our guy stays completely unfazed, brushing off the threats like lint off his jacket. Cut to the police station, where an officer is briefing his boss about some bastards who were found tied to a pole, butt naked, with a phone blaring that they belong to the Levy Group. And that's not all. The recording also contains a voice note of the redhead bastard straight up admitting they were trying to kidnap the Bawang girl. With evidence like that, our boy knows these guys are toast. Standing outside a pawn shop, Chen steels himself with one thought that he's going to obliterate the Levy Group out of existence. He plans to use the money he looted from the attackers, along with that 30,000 yuan from his sister's creepy fiancé. Back in the shop, Chen calmly hands over a long-ass list of items he needs. The shopkeeper's stunned that every single item is violent as hell. But hey, as long as Chen's got the cash, availability isn't an issue. Cut to the Levy Group HQ. One of the boss's lackeys reports that their men got beaten up again by Chen, and this time, they're also locked up by the cops. The boss doesn't sweat it as he's got connections in the police force and says he'll have it handled. Still, he's pissed that his men keep getting wrecked by a teenager. This time, he sends out a level 2 contractor, an assassin, to go after Chen's entire family. Shortly after, the boss is served a special bottle of wine. But surprisingly enough, it turns out to be piss. Just as he flips out and smacks the guy who brought it, the doors slam open. Enter our boy. He walks in, ready to take down the entire Levy Group. The boss frowns hard. After all, the thorn in his side has now come straight to his doorstep. Chen just smirks and inquires about that bastard about what that piss tasted like. The boss almost pukes while his men quickly pounce on Chen. But all they get in return is a full blast of stanky pepper gas straight into their eyes. Turns out Chen brought the gas not only to stun them, but for himself too. He sprays it across his face and boom, he gets that sweet stat boost, especially in vision. The piss drinker orders another wave of goons to attack. They come charging in like loyal idiots, and Chen drops each of them, one after another, with devastating blows. The boss can only stand there in disbelief. Chen responds with a savage sword slash aimed right at him. But suddenly some jacked dude shows up and shoves Chen back, saving the boss at the last second. This guy is Chris, a level 3 cultivator. Still, intimidation ain't in our boy's DNA. He leaps back up, blade in hand, and goes for another strike. Unfortunately, he might have gotten a bit too cocky because Chris knocks him down hard, slamming him straight into the ground. As he lies there, the pig mocks him for his pathetic power. But trash talk or not, our guy gets back up totally unhinged. That bastard of a boss then pulls out a pistol and aims straight for Chen's head. But before he can fire, Chen pulls out a grenade. And not just any grenade, he's holding it like a checkmate move. If they were playing checkers, Chen's been playing chess this whole time. He doesn't hesitate and detonates the stun grenade. A blinding flash fills the room, leaving the boss and his muscle-bound pig completely blind. And yep, this stun grenade gives another stat boost to Chen. While they're rubbing their eyes, confused and useless, Chen steps forward and, with one clean swing, cuts off the fatty's cucumber with his sword. Cut to the tobacco shop lady. The big hooter lady is happily making sausages, humming while Chen is stuck doing all the work in the shop. Cutting back to our boy, the bastard's crotch is totally bloody and bruised after the castration Chen just delivered. Along with the cucumber, Chen also makes sure to crush the pig's eggs too. And just like that, the once mighty bastard is now lying flat on the ground. The boss is furious that the pig he raised so dearly just got beaten into a pulp by a teenager. Chen then shifts his attention toward this bastard, who's now sobbing and wiping his tears on the floor. After giving him a good verbal beatdown, Chen turns to leave, hoping this bastard won't be dumb enough to come after his family or friends again. While the bastard may have promised to quit all his shady operations, it was just a lie to save his skin. In reality, the dude already made up his mind. He's gonna chop up Chen's entire family into bite-sized cubes and feed them to dogs. But Chen's 2 steps ahead, as always. He already knows what this bastard is plotting, so he casually tosses a few bombs right over the guy's head. The boss instantly bolts out of the building and ends up diving through a window. Problem is that it's the 33rd floor. So now the dude is free-falling, screaming his lungs out. What's hilarious is that the bombs were just hyper-realistic toy grenades. Later, Chen is having dinner with his tobacco-selling partner, and she reminds him there are only a few days left before the college entrance exam. Chen just shrugs and says he's gonna score big this time. Naturally, they slip right back into their usual routine of 18+ trash talk and cheesy jokes like they always do. As night falls, she takes him deep into the woods. Turns out it's the place where she first met her late husband, and every time she visits, she gets lost in the memories. We then get a flashback. She and her husband met during their college entrance exam. They went to the same college and even applied for the same major. It all felt too perfect, like they were destined to spend their lives together. But he died fighting monsters. They never got the chance to fulfill their dream of having a child together. He died too soon. Now, it all makes sense to Chen as to why she's always treated him like her own son, why she's tried so hard to help him find a good school. Once again, things between them get a little too friendly, and the pervy jokes start flying. Cut to the Springwater Footbath KTV building. Inside, we find Big Hooter Lady dragging Chen into a place a minor like him clearly has no business being in. The manager shows up, greets them warmly, and clearly recognizes Chen from before, back when he came with his sister's boyfriend. Naturally, Big Hooter Lady narrows her eyes and starts grilling Chen about how the manager seems to know him so well, like he's been here before. Chen panics and flips the script, throwing the manager under the bus, demanding how dare he try to name his guest who has not visited this place even for once. The manager catches on real quick and plays along, saying he just randomly guessed it. Too bad for them. Big Hooter Lady already knows these two are trying to pull a fast one, so she promptly punishes both of them. Still, Chen sticks to his story, claiming that a gentleman like him has no reason to step foot in a vile place like this. That's when the sex workers walk out, greeting Chen like a regular. Welp, cat's out of the bag. Bro bolts like his life depends on it because it kinda does. Meanwhile, in some shady backward area, monsters are surrounding the exit of a tunnel. Inside that tunnel are 2 injured people, barely hanging on, racking their brains to figure out an escape plan. It turns out that the female is actually Xingbi. She has already confirmed that a beast tide is coming, and they have to warn the others before it's too late. But in true cold-blooded fashion, she decides to use the poor guy as bait. She plants some kind of talisman on his back and sprints out of the tunnel, leaving the dude behind to die. Cut to the Qingqing Municipal Government Building. Inside, the boss is yelling about how Xingbi, one of the most gifted students at Capital University, has gone completely off the radar along with her entire team. The whole committee sits in stunned silence while he demands answers as to why there have been 0 reports about her party. But they don't have to wait long as Xingbi walks in, covered in blood from head to toe. The boss nearly has a heart attack seeing her alive. She explains their mission was to investigate mutated beasts in the suburbs, but it turned into a disaster. She's the only survivor, and then she drops the bombshell. The beast wave is on the horizon. Her team went deep into the danger zone to gather vital info, including the scale of the incoming tide, but they all died in the process. The only way to avoid mass casualties now is to sound a citywide raid alert and prepare for the battle ahead. Cut back to Springwater Footbath, where we find our boy again with Big Hooter Lady. She's up there on stage trying to wow the crowd with her singing. But instead of lifting spirits, her voice is straight up making ears bleed. Finally, she stops to ask for a critique on her singing. Of course, no one has anything nice to say. Suddenly, a citywide raid alert blares, signaling that the beast tide is on the horizon. Chen is shocked. Once the beast tide hits, the entire city will become a slaughterhouse for the monsters. Big Hooter Lady grabs Chen's hand and starts dashing down the street. The whole city is in chaos. Panic has taken over, and the major areas of the city are already sealed off. Everyone's being told not to leave their homes without permission. People are loading their loved ones into emergency cars to evacuate them. Big Hooter Lady forces Chen into one of the cars and then takes off toward the eastern city wall, running in the opposite direction of everyone else. She knows that only cultivators at level 1 or higher have any hope of stopping this mess. Eventually, Chen's car arrives at the refuge center in Qingcheng City. Once they're out of the car, Chen immediately calls his mother. When she picks up, he tells her where he is and asks if she's been evacuated. His concerned mother starts talking about his sister, but before he can hear more, his sister pops up right in front of him. The doting sister seems worried about him. She's brought some supplies in a bag she packed for him. She hugs him, and tears of joy fill her eyes. Then she runs off to find their mother. Meanwhile, Chen feels sad and dejected, realizing that he's hiding in a shelter like a pathetic dog while his family is out there fighting for their lives. All the pleasant memories of his family flash through his mind. Without wasting a second, he sprints off to join the fight against the beast tide. Cut to under the eastern city wall gate. All the martial artists have gathered, ready to fight. Chen arrives, completely out of breath. Then, he notices a few soldiers dragging out a girl who's not officially registered as a martial artist, but still insists on fighting. When she's denied, she obliterates every sucker standing around her with her powers, and then punches Chen for no reason. In response, Chen blows the hell out of her as an act of revenge. Honestly, who even knows why all this nonsense was necessary? The author has really outdone himself this time. As Chen stands there, he sees the beast tide heading their way. A senior soldier on the wall tries to rally the group, promising to fight side by side with them to defend the city with his life. His speech fires everyone up, except for Chen, who loses a bunch of spirit points from the positive impact of the speech. Finally, the monsters and martial artists clash. Chen starts climbing the wall, but he's stopped by an eye patch guy who warns him about the danger ahead. If Chen doesn't want to become monster food, the old man says, he shouldn't go up. Naturally, being insulted gives Chen more stat points, which keep stacking as the old man continues belittling him. The old man tries his best to stop him, but Chen is so confident that he just keeps climbing. Once he reaches the top, Chen starts slashing through the monsters left and right. While fighting, he tries to spot Big Hooter Lady from the tobacco shop, but she's nowhere to be found. Then, Chen gets sneak attacked by a spider woman rocking level 2 powers. Her threads are sharper than blades. She drags him closer and suffocates him with her huge chest. All the pleasure is getting to Chen's head, and he earns stat points for the pleasure. But as soon as she tightens her grip, poor Chen starts bleeding, which just earns him more stat points. That boost is enough for him to swing his katana like a gigachad, cutting through the spider woman like she's just some vegetable. Once she's down, a level 5 monster appears, namely Ferocious Vapor Mutant. The soldiers on the wall unleash a barrage of fire, obliterating the monsters. Their victory is short-lived, though, when they notice the monsters healing at an insane rate. As the soldiers panic, the monster spits out a massive amount of toxic goo, dissolving anything it touches. Luckily, Chen jumps back just in time. Seeing how unstoppable these monsters are, Chen knows Big Hooter Lady must be out there dying. Cut to a group of soldiers completely surrounded by monsters, with Big Hooter Lady among them. She's like a female gigachad, slicing through the monsters like they're cucumbers. Then, she spots a particular monster, the one that killed her husband. It's like her wish has come true, and she starts radiating an immense aura, charging at the bastard like a bullet. Chen finally spots her, and despite ignoring the old man's warnings, he jumps down from the wall. All while Big Hooter Lady pierces the monster with her weapon, but it heals just as fast as it gets injured. She falls to the ground, exhausted. The monster extends its nasty claw to grab her, but Chen steps in front and rescues her at the last second. Though, he can't outrun the monster and ends up taking a nasty blow to the back. Of course, that blow only boosts his stats. It's a close call. If the hit had been a little more powerful, his body would have been obliterated. Chen pulls out his gun and starts firing a barrage of bullets. Soon enough, they're surrounded by monsters from every side. The two of them fight with determination, but they also make sure to escape the mess. That same monster from earlier spits out its acidic goo again. Chen maneuvers his way out of the mess, causing the goo to dissolve the other monsters in the process. He keeps Big Hooter Lady in his arms and continues to outmaneuver the attacks. Seeing how corrosive this goo is, Chen decides to capitalize on it. Suddenly, the monster grabs the lady with its tongue and starts slamming her around. It then spits a massive load of goo all over her. Chen jumps between them, taking all of that goo right on his back. The goo starts corroding his skin, causing him immense pain. But that pain gives him a much-needed power boost. And just like that, Chen unlocks Super Saiyan 2. The other monsters charge at him, but Chen unleashes his newfound power, causing the monsters to stagger backward. Still, it's not enough to take down these stubborn monsters. When one of them makes the mistake of charging at him, Chen obliterates the bastard with just a single punch. With the monster taken down, Chen has also exhausted every bit of himself and begins to fall. But a big hooter lady catches him midair and promises to clear out the rest of the menace. It seems like the monsters are still overpowering the soldiers. According to one soldier's report, the casualty rate has shot through the roof, and the way things are going, he fears that Qingcheng City will be infested with monsters in a few moments. So the soldier suggests to his commander that they retreat. Suddenly, the entire monster march comes to a halt. They turn on their heels and start retreating. Of course, the commander has no clue what's going on. They have a hunch that someone must be behind this beast tide, forcing them to retreat. We then cut to Qingcheng Municipal Hospital. Chen wakes up, only to find himself surrounded by these big booba nurses. Seeing these beautiful busty ladies, he thinks he's in heaven. But when he notices one of the nurses giving him medicine, he realizes he's actually not in heaven. His attention then shifts to his partner, that tobacco seller lady, who is lying unconscious in the bed. According to the doctor's report, she abused her powers, which caused her to fall into a coma. He fears that if she isn't treated right away, she might suffer irreversible damage. Chen comes running to the doctor, questioning why they're waiting if her condition is so severe. The greedy doctor quotes his price, 400,000 yuan. Chen is annoyed because the government should be covering the bills, especially since she got injured while saving the city. The doctor reveals that healing her requires a few cultivators to transmit their ki energy into her body for 10 consecutive hours. During this time, the donors might overuse their ki energy, putting their lives at risk. This sparks a crazy idea in Chen's mind, and he knows exactly how to avoid this fat bill. He grabs some toxic stuff that could kill any normal person if consumed, and starts transferring his own ki energy into her. If he runs out of energy, he can simply replenish it by eating that toxic stuff. 10 hours fly by, and the lady finally wakes up in her bed, feeling completely revitalized. But she soon notices that she is absolutely naked. Around her is the totally drained Chen, who looks like a corpse, barely hanging on. She scrutinizes him, wondering what the hell he's doing there while she's naked. Of course, Chen pulls a fast one on her, feeding her the nonsense that she forced him to clap for her while she was sleeping. Since she doesn't recall anything from the past 10 hours, she assumes he must be right and feels a little awkward. But then Chen starts laughing, clarifying that he was only transmitting his ki energy to her. She gets annoyed and starts beating him before finally kicking him out of the room. As he sits outside, he pulls out his phone to check on his sister and parents. Outside the refuge center, we find Chen's doting mother, who is asking around every person about her son. But finally, they find their one and only son and brother, causing immense joy for his family members. His sister unintentionally starts choking the hell out of him as she clings to the poor guy. She's relieved because she had thought he'd been transferred to Ho City. Apparently, for some mysterious reason, the beasts left Qingcheng City for Ho City. Around 3:40 p.m. in the afternoon, the beast tide hit the north wall of Ho City. At 4 p.m., Ho City's communication went down, and in just 10 minutes, the entire city was wiped off China's map. At People's Square, everyone watches the broadcast blaring on the big screen. One of the state representatives is actually here to express his remorse for the fallen city of Ho. He's deeply hurt to see everyone dying, but he instills hope in the people of Qingcheng City, speaking of humanity's prosperity. 5 days go by, and deep inside the 314B space portal, Chen is looking at his pathetic stats. He's back at level 1 again after expending a lot of ki energy on Big Hooter Lady. He begins his practice session. The steel balls he's cutting down contain some mysterious technology. Since it looks very advanced, Chen imagines selling it to a pawn shop to earn some hard cash. As he continues to cut down all those balls, he realizes the dark goo-like matter coming out of them is some sort of chemical that's harming his body. Well, sounds like it's high time he starts grinding ki energy points. He continues to slash those balls to increase his stats while acquiring that alien technology. Later, once he gets back with all the high-tech stuff, he starts digging into these motherboards. This is when he peels off a memory card from one of the motherboards. He promptly plugs it into his computer to unveil all the secrets stored inside. But Big Hooter Lady enters the room, startling him. He quickly pulls the card back and pretends he's doing nothing. Later, Chen browses the website to get some tickets for the college entrance examination. But for spectators, each row is ridiculously expensive. He's not sure how he's going to afford tickets for his family. He soon gets a bright idea. Later, we find ourselves at a pawn shop. Bro can be seen massaging a woman with very large and saggy breasts. The woman makes it clear that he ain't getting anything for this massage. Then, the appraisal guy appears with the high-tech board Chen gave him. He confirms the validity of Chen's claims that this stuff is indeed from the space portal of Qingcheng City. So now, the only thing left is price negotiations. Chen feels smug about the loot he's acquired. Since he's being generous, he's not asking for more than 1 million for one piece of hardware. The woman over there only offers him 20,000, take it or leave it. Bro tries his best to negotiate his way out, but the woman only lowers the price to 10,000. Poor guy can do nothing but sink into despair. The woman finally decides to stop messing around with him and agrees to pay 30,000 if he's up for it. She's only paying 30,000 because what he brought is very unique, and she's never had anything like it before. Chen twirls around to shake hands in a split second. He then shows her even more of these mainboards and slyly demands she pay 30,000 for these as well. The woman is shocked to see these. If she had known he had more of this junk, she would have negotiated aggressively. Nonetheless, she's only willing to offer him 25,000 for these two. Well, my guy is up for it, and with another handshake he sells her the 3 main boards. But then, he pulls out another 2. Of course, he finally steps on her last nerve, so she slams him for tricking her and makes her guards kick him out. Later, as he's counting the money, he feels kind of disappointed for not being able to sell those last 2 pieces. Regardless, he decides to enroll himself in the school before worrying about anything else. We then cut to the teaching building of number 7 high school. In one of the classes, the students have already gotten the news that someone who got kicked out of number 2 high school is now joining them. Right then, my guy bursts into the room. He has such an aura that the girls start swooning, while the jealous virgin losers start losing their shit. Chen, however, turns from an unmatched Sigma to a scared mess when a woman creeps up right behind him. Later, Chen makes his way to his designated desk, only to find the desk carved with a bunch of nonsensical utterances. Looks like bro isn't very welcome here. Not only do the students have a hate boner against him, even the teacher is involved. Still, my guy doesn't let these setbacks get him down. He pretends to be upbeat and happy, causing complete bewilderment in the class. Since he doesn't have a chair to sit in, the one horny girl who got an instant crush on him invites him to sit in her seat. She even starts imagining sitting on his lap. The teacher cuts through the chit-chat and instructs Chen to simply continue standing if he doesn't have a chair to sit in. Since bro has no choice, he just stands there. She then reminds him that the examination lasts for 2 days, on the 7th and 8th of July every year, which is tomorrow and the day after. Basically, each round adopts the method of best of one. The winner moves on to the next round immediately. Therefore, Chen will need to know how to harness his strength and energy. While saying this, the bitch of a teacher doesn't forget to throw some shade, assuming that an expelled student like him will probably be defeated and drop to his knees in the first round. The other students are no less scumbags and can't help but sneer. My guy suddenly moves with the speed of lightning, popping up behind those bastards and slamming them hard onto the ground. After knocking some sense into them, my guy grabs those shitheads by the head and demands they apologize. The goons don't waste a second before saying sorry. The teacher, not willing to tolerate the mess Chen is causing, threatens to expel him if he continues this. My guy simply drops the shitheads and decides to call it a day. The next day arrives, and there's a huge queue outside the examination stadium. It's finally the day Chen has been waiting for. Suddenly, his phone rings, and it's his sister. She doesn't even bother with pleasantries and starts blaring, wanting to know how he managed to get them those expensive spectator seats in the stadium. She's sure he must have done something shady to get them. He hangs up the phone, not before saying that his time to go inside has come. In the examination hall, his sister still looks annoyed for not getting the answers she desired. So she simply assumes that he must have gotten some rich woman to fall for him. Meanwhile, the tobacco seller lady with the massive knockers is sitting right in front of Chen's sister. After overhearing Chen's sister's rant, she assumes that Chen must actually have a girlfriend spoiling him rotten. A while later, an instructor steps onto the stage and finally announces the commencement of the preliminary contest's first round. The first match is our boy versus Ma Shuai. Both guys step into the arena, facing each other, and it turns out they already know each other. But since we don't have any idea how they got acquainted, we flash back to a few minutes before the exam started. Chen is in the bathroom letting loose. Suddenly, some random goons tries sneaking a peek at his cucumber, which looks about as long as a hockey stick and as thick as an elephant's trunk. After draining the dragon, Chen zips up and turns around, only to find a couple of dudes straight up begging him for tips on growing their own cucumbers. To mock them even further, bro pulls out a ruler. It's only 6 inches long, but the markings say 20. He kisses the air like a victorious hero, leaving the under-equipped gorillas behind him with shattered egos. Meanwhile, a horny girl from his class had been eavesdropping the whole time and starts blushing like crazy, realizing she might actually enjoy riding that cucumber express someday. We snap back to the arena, Chen versus micropenis Ma. That jealous bastard tries to get sneaky and lands a surprise headbutt on Chen, sending him stumbling. Then the punk goes for the forbidden zone, aiming straight at Chen's most treasured family jewel. His micro-posse starts hollering, hyped to see Chen lose the one thing they envy the most. And Ma lands the hit, right in the balls. But Chen only gains fertility points after getting his balls busted. That hit should have ended it. But instead, Chen just smiles. A smug, sassy, soul-shaking smile. The micro-squad's jaws drop. Then Chen raises his leg like the wrath of God about to descend. Ma immediately drops to the ground like a begging puppy. Turns out he used up all his key energy in his desperate assault, and now he's fresh out of juice. Not wanting to get absolutely folded, he taps out. The referee announces Chen as the winner of the first round. Up next is some busted chick from number 2 high school, Ying Li. She steps into the arena like she's about to start some serious beef. Chen's aura explodes the moment he walks up. Her short skirt starts flapping like a damn flag in a hurricane. She spends the entire match just trying to hold her skirt down. Eventually, she can't take the pressure and concedes. Third round is with this weird gender-bendy dude from number 3 high school. His first move might look intimidating, but the guy just gives up immediately, saying he's too big a fan of Chen's power to fight him. Chen's not in the mood to explain his secret, so he just drills the guy into the dirt anyway. Fourth round comes around and more weirdos come forth. That only results in more beatdowns. Then comes a beautiful lady with a crush on our guy. Everyone assumes this one's going to be a flirty no-fight situation. The referee ain't having it. He shouts at them for turning the battle arena into soap opera. Suddenly the girl leaps forward, aiming a full-force knee strike. My guy simply grabs her charging knee with his bare hands and makes her trip over. But before she hits the ground, he hugs her as tightly as he can, making her boobs squish in between. We then cut back 5 minutes before the examination. There, Chen is just about to leave the restroom, while those bastards behind him are fuming at the top of their heads. And this is when he gets a love-struck lady who's been keeping an eye on him. She intentionally sneezes over him, then begins to wipe off the saliva and mucus that got on our boy. Her act of cleaning is just a pretense to feel and touch my guy's favorite part. She's literally getting turned on just feeling his six-pack abs. Though, before she can go down any further, my guy grabs her hand in an attempt to stop her advances. As he gets closer to her face, his nostrils fill with her stinky smell, causing him to sneeze right in her face. Of course, the woman doesn't appreciate this stinky saliva all over her face. She can't help but feel annoyed and lashes out at him. The police arrive to arrest Chen because everyone in the crowd, along with the guards, thinks he's a molester. Back in the present, as he's grabbing her by the waist, Bro slams her down with no regard for gender equality. With her down on the ground, she has finally lost the round. The girl makes it clear that she won't be dating this bastard any longer since he didn't let her win. But, well, my guy never had any intentions of dating her. After all, she framed him and called him a pervert, so he only got his revenge by defeating her for the trouble she caused. After all, no way he's dating an ugly woman like herself. Being called an ugly old hag shocks the hell out of the poor lady, causing her to scream at the top of her lungs. As Chen triumphantly walks down the stage, some recruiter guy blocks his way and insists that he join the university he's suggesting. For men, that place is like a paradise. Of course, Chen begins to fantasize about owning a harem of his own, thinking that place must have a lot of women. But to his utter disappointment, that place is all men, with no women to be found. Bro is so annoyed that he feels the urge to kick the bastard right in the balls. Nevertheless, Chen drinks down his frustration and begins walking away. Suddenly he notices that some guy named Chen Kaizi is racking up victory after victory. In fact, Bro wins quite easily. Well, it looks like this is the same bastard from School 7, where Chen was so loathed that they didn't even give him a chair to sit on. That scummy teacher is also there, feeling very proud of her students' victories. At that moment, Chen sneaks up from behind and tries to grab her attention. The scummy teacher only responds with annoyance to him. Since she's not in the mood to talk, he decides to get on her good side by complimenting her. But it's clear that this virgin clearly lacks the fundamental social skills to impress a woman. Thus, he ends up getting yelled at even more. Just then, 2 examiners approach Chen. They are actually here to report their findings. Apparently, according to the data collected from School 7, Chen's key energy is supposed to be 0.35. But based on his performance in the preliminary contest, they're sure his level is way higher than that. That scummy teacher insists that Chen must be cheating, using some illegal performance-enhancing drugs. So, she believes that he should be disqualified immediately. As for her introduction, she introduces herself to the examiners as his homeroom teacher and requests the management punish this charlatan accordingly. But the examiner shuts her down because she shouldn't be making claims without concrete proof. The female examiner is keen on reassessing his key energy level. Chen seizes this opportunity to flex his muscles, figuratively and literally, and gives them permission to touch him anywhere they want, all while pulling his shirt off. When the female examiner puts the key energy tester over his belly, the machine shows the score of 0.75. Of course, we get a snapshot of the examiner's shocked face, followed by that old stupid hag who had been trying her best to drag Chen down. The examiner wants to know why the numbers provided by School 7 don't match the current numbers. Since this old hag is his homeroom teacher, she is held accountable for this mismatch. She hesitates, then comes clean that she picked a random number and filled in the form for him. The examiner, of course, is disappointed to see such complacency and laziness from someone who's supposed to take care of her students. The guilty old hag's knees lose all strength when she realizes that the consequences of her mess are going to be astronomical, with her paycheck getting deductions. The examiners, on the other hand, are all chummy with our boy, so they decide to push him to the next round because of his clean sweep. Of course, the old hag and her trash student are bewildered. Her trash student loses his composure and lunges at our boy in an attempt to throw a strike, but the examiner steps in and slaps this bastard so hard that he falls to his knees. Well, this shithead totally deserves this slap. After all, he basically doubted his senior's judgment and tried to take things into his own hands. Later, all the qualified people for the next round gather in one place. A bald bastard who introduces himself as the chief examiner of this year's examination reveals that the tournament is about to begin, so they'd better go over the rules one more time. Basically, this tournament will be a knockout competition. Once anyone loses, they will be disqualified immediately. Baldy warns beforehand that the situation is going to be a total bloodbath, so they'd better sign their wills beforehand. The gates dramatically begin opening, leading to the final round of this exam. As all the contestants gather in the arena, the audience is urged to cheer for their respective students. The entire crowd begins to cheer for the students they have faith in, and Chen's family is also rooting for him. In the VIP area, the big shots can already be seen fighting with each other, defending their favorite students. The instructor urges all the participating students to get into the waiting area in order to wait for their round to start. In the School 7 waiting area, all of the students are having the time of their lives, reclined back in their seats. Among them is our boy, as carefree as ever. Suddenly, the principal of number 7 high school comes rushing in, and the guys along with him completely surround Chen. While it may seem that the principal is here with ill intentions, it turns out these jacked up dudes are just here to give Chen the massage he deserves for producing such amazing results. The principal feels remorseful that he wasn't able to hire female masseurs because someone would always report him. Of course, Chen feels disgusted by those who reported the principal for such a noble act. The principal is glad that Chen shares the same thought as him. As far as he's concerned, their voluptuous figures always helped him unleash his inner strength. Anyhow, while he's here, he lays out the rules. In this competition, the contestants who are going to fight each other will be from the same school. He further assures the students that, while this next competition might sound cutthroat, it's not as brutal. Just as the old man says this, someone knocks the hell out of his opponent with just a single punch, sending the victim drilled into the nearby wall. Chen is not sure what could be more brutal than that. The bro who just got beaten is literally on the brink of death, which is completely contrary to what the old coot had said. The injured contestant concedes his defeat before he loses his life completely, so the referee welcomes the next contestant for the second round. The contestants who are about to participate are displayed over the big screen. The battles finally start, and the opponents begin their fights. But we're not interested in seeing these puny punks fight. The main highlight of this tournament is our boy fighting this bastard from his own class, the same blondie who was trying to bully him in the classroom. Meanwhile, the other contestants are fighting with the best of their abilities, and most of the battles have already been concluded. All the while, our boy hasn't moved an inch from his position, and the same goes for his opponent. To get the gist of why that is, we cut to the past where the principal is giving his 2 students some advice. He had a perfect strategy where both of his students can avoid injuries, so the old man tells them to remember this. The weaker one must surrender right away. Of course, neither Chen nor his blonde classmate is willing to concede defeat without putting up a fight. The blondie even objects to this idea, but the teacher only serves him a slap. So in the present, both are suggesting each other to concede defeat, but neither of them is willing to do it. They both continue to argue with each other, while the principal is getting annoyed at these 2 clowns. Since they are not willing to concede defeat, the principal eventually gives them permission to engage in combat. Blondie eagerly complies and begins exuding a massive amount of ki energy. The referee and a few big shots start losing their minds seeing a student showcasing this amount of power. Blondie the bastard takes this initiative to throw the first hit, but Chen blocks it right away. The bastard then swings another deadly kick that causes a giant explosion, rocking the entire stage. Chen's family is stunned. As the dust settles in the area, it seems like their worries are unwarranted. My guy just blocked it with his mere hand. Of course, none of these people in the crowd have any clue how this is even possible. Even his family is clueless as to when Chen got this much power. Chen, on the other hand, grabs Blondie's leg and throws it away like the trash bag he is. Then he further throws a kick right into the bastard's belly, causing his eyes to bulge out. Those hits were enough to send the shithead flying away. For a moment, everyone goes into needle-drop silence, but then they burst into applause, seeing our guy win. The guys in the VIP lounge are arguing over who is going to recruit such a bright student as Chen in their university. That blondie, who became the catalyst of our boy's success, is lying there totally banged up. He has yet to figure out how someone who just got expelled from his own school is able to kick ass. He's sure that Chen used some sort of drugs to win this match. Chen doesn't bother explaining himself and agrees that, yes, he used drugs, just so Blondie can justify his miserable defeat and feel at ease. Chen simply twirls toward the crowd, who are showering him with all the praise he could have ever gotten in his life. Though it's quite surprising, he's not losing his stat points after being praised. Anyhow, that bitch of a homeroom teacher butts in and accuses Chen once again of using drugs. This time, she accuses him because Chen just didn't bother explaining himself to that blondie, so she's using this for her advantage. She drags him along with her and takes him to the principal. She explains the situation like how Chen cheated. Though the principal is not sure if her claims hold any truth, everyone present there is a witness to the raw power Chen possesses. In fact, the principal is proud of Chen's exploits and is looking forward to giving Chen the leverage he needs in his academics. The mayor also takes his time to personally praise Chen, but that old piece of shit of a woman continues to accuse our boy, and she even brings this in front of the mayor. The guy standing beside the mayor decides to split the milk from the water by volunteering to become a punching bag. Chen will land a blow on him, and he will judge if Chen is a worthy opponent. Chen takes the challenge and promptly throws a hard punch. The punch sends that white-haired bastard skidding across the ground, but it was not powerful enough to inflict any damage or make him break his stance. This of course shocks Chen, seeing how he failed to even ruffle his feathers. This also gives an opportunity to that old hag who is always willing to mock our boy. But this is when the mayor decides to break the ice. In reality, even a level 3 cultivator would not be able to make that white-haired dude flinch. But the fact that someone like Chen, who is not even level 2, made him skid across is just total insanity. Even that white-haired guy confirms Chen's prowess. Chen's strength is so insane that even a drug bought from the black market could never give him such a crazy boost. The principal is happy that Chen did not cheat after all. He then turns to that old hag and delivers the bad news. Her half-month salary will be deducted for picking on one of her students for absolutely no reason. Of course, that piece of shit woman quickly turns into a shocked mess. Our guy, on the other hand, can't help but feel proud of himself. There's no doubt left that he is indeed a force to be reckoned with. Every representative from every university jumps toward Chen to recruit him. Chen simply lays them off by asking for their name cards only. The rest, he'll decide who he would like to join. Chen first wants to weigh his options and will only go with the ones who are offering him the best treatment possible. Meanwhile, the referee gives an announcement about the next round, which will take place soon enough. In this match, the dark horse Chen will go up against Wang Ao from number 4 high school. Finally, Chen stands against the guy in question. It looks like Chen is also mentally preparing before he fights his next opponent. You see, number 4 high school is one of the major institutes in Qingcheng City, and there are plenty of excellent cultivators. So basically, Chen wants to be careful to avoid any unnecessary embarrassments. As the countdown before the match begins ticks down, Wang begins to unleash his terrifying powers and pounces over the boy as soon as the clock stops ticking. All that show for nothing. That bastard simply gets over the ground, growling like the whimpering dog he is. Chen then decides to bestow this bastard with the honor of fighting. Keeping their power levels in mind, he decides to fight him with only one hand. But it looks like this piece of crap is already adamant on surrendering, even if Chen decides not to move an inch during the fight. Our guy finally accepts the victory he has been granted and proceeds to walk away. Meanwhile, on the top floor of the stadium building, a guy with glasses is trying to figure out how they're going to fight Chen. His friends around him tell him to have little confidence in everyone's abilities present here. They are confident because, in the finals, it's all about combat power, not key energy level. Besides, it will be even more embarrassing if a seeded player gets his ass kicked. The glasses guy then points out how Chen Yu's key energy is at level 0.7. Even though he's strong, he's not their match. After all, everyone here is level 1 and above. The double ponytail girl among them notices something familiar about Chen, but she can't quite put her finger on it. Later, the first group of the third round has prepared, and the contestants have already been assigned and chosen. In the crowd, we meet that bullshit principal who had expelled our boy from his school. He is giving his student the guidelines how to fight Chen effectively. Still, if she finds herself in a tough spot, she should not hesitate before surrendering. The lady promises to do her best. Her name is Wang Yue, assistant to the principal of number 2 high school, class monitor of Chen Yu's former class. As she heads into the arena, this trash principal is kind of regretting how he kicked out a blooming talent like Chen. Meanwhile, it doesn't take long for Chen to realize who his next opponent is. After Chen got expelled, that witch had the audacity to mock him for it and asked what he was going to do next. She believed he was just a scum who wasted his family's money. But in the present, that same cocky bitch is now sweating her ugly face. My guy is laughing like a kid, feeling glad that he's met her once again. To toy with her, he throws all the invitation cards he received from various institute representatives. Then he starts picking up the cards again, pretending he clumsily let them slip through his grasp. For a solid few minutes, he continues to mess with her. He then turns to the trash principal and mocks him by offering a cigarette. Bro continues to trash talk this shit-ass principal, and it looks like Chen's antics are finally getting under the bastard's nerves. Predictably, the bastard of a principal starts bawling his lungs out. Anyhow, he then tells his student to initiate the battle. She acknowledges the order and gets into stance. With her power unleashed, she begins circling our boy and then throws a devastating kick across his face. The kick does nothing more than give my guy another stat boost. Chen only mocks her for her weak attack, and his jab crawls right under her skin. The trash principal is losing his shit, seeing that she, being at level 0.8, couldn't inflict any real damage. Chen then decides to show his own strength. First of all, he knocks her off the ground with some cool acrobatics, and then slams the shit out of her onto the floor. That bastard of a principal is losing his mind watching the immense strength Chen is displaying. As far as he's concerned, Chen was a lowly runt who barely scraped by. With her down on the ground, Chen mocks her, telling her that a class monitor lost to a so-called pathetic loser. Meanwhile, the referee is left with his jaw hanging. In his entire career, someone defeating their opponent with just a single blow is unprecedented. Chen's mother is happy, while his sister is in absolute astonishment. The big hooter lady also has a look of shock on her face. Meanwhile, the lady who took the brunt of the attack is groaning in pain. Her brain literally freezes for a moment as if it had performed a force restart. Chen, however, hopes that this hard lesson will teach her how to stay humble. The lady then collapses from exhaustion, and since our boy is a man of culture, he doesn't forget his manners. He cradles her in his arms to carry her off the arena. The trash teacher from number 2 school is as angry as one can get. My guy then drops the lady to the ground, where she's completely down for the count. Chen turns his attention toward the bastard principal and points out how flawed his teaching methods are. All this guy teaches is how to bully the weak. Chen then gives the bastard two options. He can simply pick his student up, turn on his heels, and walk away, or he can teach him the turtle-style technique. Of course, the bastard principal isn't ready to take either option, so he only shows aggression in response. Bro continues to mock the shithead, crawling all over the principal's skin. Eventually, the principal grabs his defeated student and begins to make his way out. While he may walk quietly, rest assured he'll return for revenge. Meanwhile, the principal of number 7 school creeps over to our boy and hugs him tightly in joy. The commentator then shifts his focus to the other fights. People are fighting strongly. Chen can tell that everyone who made it this far is no joke. He's sure that once the matches are over, the winners will be recruited by universities. But his principal reveals something entirely different. It's only a tournament today. Those who win will be evaluated by the judges before they can qualify for the fiercer finals. With all the matches over, the commentator welcomes the chief examiner to announce the final scores. Before revealing the names of the winners, the baldy bastard makes it clear that if someone's name isn't on the winners list, it doesn't mean they are losers. Anyone who made it this far is actually a winner by default. The teacher then begins rolling out all the scores and starts speaking the names of students who have been disqualified. The first disqualified student can do nothing but break down in tears. Many guys are being disqualified brutally. Even Chen's principal fears that they might get disqualified too. But thankfully, his mother and sister's prayers pay off when Chen qualifies with flying colors. Along with his parents, the other spectators are also glad to see our boy win, and they burst into a round of applause. Chen's stats even drop a bit because of the audience's positive attitude toward him. Bro literally begs them to stop praising him. Suddenly, his attention is once again caught by his family on the sidelines cheering for him, and he waves back in response. He also notices another unexpected guest. That big hooter lady, who, as usual, flips him the middle finger when she spots him. The baldy bastard concludes today's tournament now that the winners have been revealed. As the winner, Chen receives a sort of wristband that will allow him entry into the finals. All the winners got these bands, and the baldy bastard gives them further instructions that they will be staying here for the day until the finals begin the next day. The wristbands serve as identity verification, and as proof that they are entitled to all the examination services during the finals. At this point, Chen has one very important question. The baldy bastard starts sweating, wondering what kind of question he might ask. After all, Chen is the only candidate who performed better than anyone else. Turns out, this idiot just wanted to ask if he himself is staying here. Then where's his family supposed to stay until the exam officially ends? Later, Chen arrives at the massive hotel where he's supposed to stay. Of course, his eyes practically pop out of their sockets when he sees the magnificent building in front of him. Even the principal is awestruck. Though the poor principal isn't allowed in, the hotel is only for participating students and their families. Once my guy gets into his hotel room, he jumps onto his bed, which is somehow comfier than the one Drake has in his mansion. As he's enjoying the plush luxury, there's a knock on the door. When he opens it, he finds himself staring at a busted-looking woman. Her name is Ma Li. She's actually one of the candidates participating in tomorrow's exam. Turns out, Ma Li is the second daughter of the CEO of the Ma Group. She's just here to have a little chat with our boy. After all, there's a chance they'll end up going against each other, so she's hoping he'll go easy on her. Chen, however, politely turns her down. This exam could decide his future, so he's not about to flop his last chance over some half-baked flirtation. Naturally, the girl storms off annoyed. She can't believe her big busted charm didn't work on him. It's really getting under her skin. Chen just shuts the door. He's got enough on his plate already. Then there's another knock. He thinks it's that same busted woman back to whine again. But nope, it's his little sister, who immediately hugs him like she's trying to crack his ribs. Later, as both his mother and sister settle into the living room, his family can't help but feel proud of what Chen's managed to accomplish. That's when his sister accuses him of hiding a rich girlfriend. Because seriously, how else did he get enrolled in number 7 high school? Before saying anything, he tells her to calm the hell down. To dodge the question, he just reminds her that it's dinner time already, and steers his mom toward the dining area. As the trio sits together at the table to dig in, guess who shows up again? Yep, the busted chick Ma Li. Chen is absolutely shocked to see her pop up out of nowhere, especially since he really doesn't want his sister getting the wrong idea. The girl explains that her family's not here, and she's starving. She just came to grab something to eat before passing out. Though, to be fair, she's not here to mooch without compensation. She's got some juicy top-secret info to share. She points at a girl sitting a few tables away. Her name is Bahuang Yao. Chen already knows who she is, so he's not sure how this is supposed to help. Hell, everyone knows she's the daughter of the Bahuang family. That's when Ma Li drops a more interesting detail. She's Yao's classmate. Apparently, Yao is super reserved, top of the class at the number 1 high school. But there are rumors she doesn't get along with her family, and she has no one to cook for her here. That's why she's sitting there, alone. Oh, and most importantly, she's still single. Never dated anyone. Since Chen's way better than the average dude, Ma Li thinks he might actually have a shot. But my guy's not interested in dating anyone. His sister agrees, as it's good he's staying away. She says the Bahuang girl looks like an underage kid anyway. As for Chen's mom, she's concerned the girl is way too skinny to give birth. Chen straight up yells at them to stop bringing up this weird dating topic. That's when everyone in the dining area starts whispering about Bahuang Yao. They're all baffled that the daughter of a prestigious family is joining the commoners in the dining area. And above all, she's sitting all by herself, which is super unusual. But then again, her dad's a big shot in the business world. It's not like he'd be here to cook for her. Meanwhile, Chen's getting real annoyed at how everyone's gossiping and making assumptions. As everyone wraps up their meal and heads out while bragging about their parents' cooking, Yao still sits there alone. That's when Chen starts packing a lunchbox with leftover food for the lonely girl. Once the dining area is completely empty, and only Yao remains with tears streaming down her face, my guy shows up. He offers her the box filled with delicious food. He's not gonna let someone starve like that. He insists she help herself. Naturally, she asks who the hell he is. But he just turns around and sits in a chair nearby. He wants her to eat first, then he'll talk. Meanwhile, Yao starts to feel like she recognizes this guy. She just can't quite figure out where she's seen him before. Finally, she grabs the chopsticks and starts satisfying her appetite. Once she's done eating, Yao expresses her gratitude for the delicious food. Chen then pulls out a pack of cigarettes, ready to blow off some steam. After all, nothing's more satisfying than letting out some smoke after a good meal. Only then does he allow her to ask any questions she has. Yao brings up the incident in the space portal where she was knocked out by some thugs. But a stranger saved her, and she's curious to know who that stranger was. She recalls how, when she saw him in the contest today, he reminded her a lot of the man who saved her in the portal. His voice and tone seemed pretty familiar too. At the end, she brushes all these thoughts off with a positive smile, thinking she's probably just overthinking it. Chen, meanwhile, goes totally smitten seeing her smile. Damn, she looks fine. Anyway, he continues the conversation by asking why she's been sitting here all night. He wonders if her father's running a bit late, and that's why she didn't get any food from him. Yao doesn't want to bore him with the details, so she just hints that her father favors her older brother over her. The mention of her older brother reminds Chen of that Bahuang brat, who is tall, rich, handsome, and a top student at the capital university. Chen promises to help her out in any way he can if her father's being violent towards her. Yao assures him that's not the case. It's just that in her father's eyes, she's not worthy of being his daughter, that's all. Chen gets visibly annoyed hearing this. After all, she's currently a level 1 cultivator, almost on her way to level 1.1. For reference, this is an insane power level. Chen had worked his ass off and barely reached level 0.7, even with the curse's buff. Yao suddenly stands up, letting the fresh air kiss her big guyot, then expresses her gratitude for the dinner. She says she'll never forget his act of kindness. As she walks off, Chen reciprocates her kind words, but it turns out she was being nice outwardly. But inwardly, she kinda hates him. You ask why? Because his system granted him a stat point for being insulted. The next day, the finals are here. The atmosphere is charged with energy as the commentator goes wild announcing the match between Chen Yu and Ma Li, that same busty chick in pink. Whoever she is, Chen doesn't care. He's ready to take her down. The commentator explains how this final competition will determine the future of the students. The contest consists of 20 seeded players and 12 winners from the previous tournament, making 32 in total. For the first round, the 32 contestants will be randomly divided into 2 groups, 15 in each. One group will be numbered with odd numbers and the other with even. To win the competition, one must win 5 rounds in a row to become the champion of the year. With the rules set, the first round begins. All the examiners are eager to see the final contestants. Finally, the 2 contestants face each other. Seeing Chen up there, his family cheers for him. Looks like our boy's got some fans in the crowd too, rooting for his success. There are also plenty of people rooting for Ma Li. Chen begins stretching his limbs, getting ready. He won't go easy on her just because her school's ranked high. Ma Li doesn't want him to hold back either. But she would feel sad if she ended up hurting her future husband, so she hopes he'll just concede. According to her, Chen looks like a dashing, handsome playboy, someone she desperately wants to be with. She's a big fan of his riz and aura. She's been keeping an eye on him since last night and is fascinated by how he spent the whole night practicing. About last night, Chen wasn't practicing. His noisy neighbors were keeping him up all night with their clapping. So, Chen decided to give them some competition. He pulled out his pants, grabbed some toilet paper, and made his little dragon work all night. For his hand practice, he got a stat boost. The next day, one of his tired neighbors complained about the noise in room 22. They're convinced Chen caused the ruckus just so his opponents wouldn't get enough rest for tomorrow's match. Chen just calls them weak sauce and turns away, his riz and aura radiating so hard it's almost blinding. All the guys around are dying of shame. It's the first time they've seen someone with such stamina who can last all night. And this is exactly why Molly's fallen for him. It's her desire to be clapped all night. It looks like she was just trying to butter him up to catch him off guard, because the moment Chen looks away, she throws a slap. She then suddenly pulls out her hat and quickly dons it over her head. No matter how handsome or smart he might be, she won't fall head over heels for him unless he proves himself in this tournament against her. With that, she dashes at him again, swinging with all her might. But Chen simply ducks, letting her blow fly right over his head. Then he puts his hands up and absorbs all of her blows. Ma Li, not one to back down, pulls off an acrobatic stunt and lands right in his face, finally creating an opening to land a real attack. The crowd cheers, impressed by her slick moves. Meanwhile, in the waiting area of number 1 high school, the principal is fuming. He desperately wants to see Chen eliminated. He can't stand seeing anyone dominate the leaderboard except for his own school. On the other side, Chen's mother is watching the match, quietly eyeing Ma Li as a potential daughter-in-law. She notes that Ma Li's big butt would make childbirth easier. Back to our boy. Ma Li's just too close now, her squishy assets nearly right in his face. She notices him blushing and takes advantage of the moment, throwing a hard punch at him. Not one punch, but a whole relentless barrage of them, each blow earning our boy stat points. The audience eats it up, loving how she's pushing this low-ranked hobo back. Chen, meanwhile, is absolutely thrilled. No, not because he's getting his ass kicked, but because he's getting a huge harvest of stat points. Plus, those jiggly boobs are a nice bonus. Molly doesn't stop. Her fists keep flying. Eventually, she stops, clearly exhausted after hitting him about 100 times. Yet, Chen's still just as cool as a cucumber, not a scratch on him. Chen's having a blast getting wrecked. It's basically a massage for his sore muscles. If only she'd kept going a bit longer. But now, Molly gets serious. She plays her ace. She starts manipulating her hat. Chen's quick to notice and realizes that she's trying to tag him with it. But Chen's got ninja reflexes. Ain't no way he's letting her touch him. According to her, it's her signature move, a technique she learned as a gift from Andrew Tate. Chen, of course, is mad. After all, using a weapon is illegal. But then, that baldy of an examiner steps in and declares her cap to be headgear, not a weapon. Molly holds up the cap, showing it off, explaining how it's just a piece of fabric. Apparently, the fabric is called Shi Suo Yi, only available in certain space portals. It's precious, sold by the milligram, and is used for reconstructive surgery. Chen sees it for what it really is. She's basically exploiting a loophole in the system. He calls her out on her shady antics, but the examiner doesn't care. As far as he's concerned, she's in the clear. Ma Li, ever grateful for the examiner's input, strikes again. The speed of her cap is insane, but Chen matches her blow for blow, dodging left and right. However, it's starting to get really hard to keep up. Her long-range prowess is becoming more apparent. Chen knows that long-range fighters usually struggle with hand-to-hand combat. So, he balls up his fist, ready to throw a punch hard enough to obliterate her face. But then, he screeches to a halt. The whole place is surrounded by lasers. If he moves too much, he's going to get shredded. This cheap trick of hers only explains how crafty she is. All her earlier attacks were just distractions. She intentionally let her guard down with harmless moves, and then ambushed him with her cap. She even distracted him with her explanation about how it's just fabric. But it turns out, the cap, infused with her key energy, is a lethal weapon. Now, Chen realizes her real strategy. She's been secretly manipulating her cap, laying out a number of threads within the arena, and controlling them with key energy. The cap has become part of a deadly web of energy lasers that could easily cut him in half if he tries to force his way through. Molly confirms his suspicions. Chen's annoyed but not surprised. She's rich, powerful, and intelligent. She knows how to exploit the rules. Molly reminds him that being rich is a form of strength too. She suggests he simply surrender before she shreds him into pieces. She then casts a spell, immobilizing him completely. Chen can't move a muscle. And with that, the cap falls down over his head, and she breaks all the threads. It looks like Chen's been checkmated. Even the examiners think the same. They're actually feeling pretty astonished and proud of the capabilities number 1 high school is showing, which is exactly what you'd expect from them. Meanwhile, the big shots from various universities are fighting among themselves, each trying to recruit her into their school. Then, Molly grabs our boy by the collar and starts dragging him along. Actually, she wants to drag him and disqualify him from the round. But it's that piece of shit woman who gets dropped out of the arena, leaving everyone in the Coliseum in dead silence, totally in awe. The woman is completely confused. She can't understand how this is even possible. It shouldn't be possible, especially with that green hat still on his head. To give some context, Chen takes us back in time to when they were fighting. It turns out there were no secret tricks involved. He simply grabbed the women and threw her out of the damn arena. Since he doesn't want to explain the technique he used to break her curse, he changes the subject and starts mocking her. Eventually, the commentator hands Chen the victory title he deserves. He's officially won the first round of the finals. The principal is thrilled to hear the announcement, and Chen's family reacts the same way. Meanwhile, the Big Hooter tobacco shop lady is watching this tournament from the comfort of her home. The commentator then announces the start of the second round. One of the contestants is Bahuang Yao, that loner girl our boy shared his food with. She walks confidently toward the stage, facing off against this bastard with glasses. Since his name isn't worth remembering, let's call him Double Eye. Double Eye can't help but throw some sass at our girl. Yao isn't provoked at all and is ready to take on any opponent. Chen doubts whether she'll be able to win this round. But the principal believes that the Bahuang family is going to take the championship this year, given all their influence and family power. Chen asks the principal if he knows Bahuang Yi, or Bahuang Yao's older brother. The principal immediately spits out all the details about her family. Her brother was the champion of the 2022 tournament, and now he's the president of the student union at Capital University. Chen says he's heard a lot about the Bahuang family, and both Bahuang Yi and Bahuang Yao are outstanding students. Though, he says, it's just expected of a prominent family. Every family with some influence is like this, so it doesn't make sense why the Bahwang family gets so much attention. The principal reminds him that the Bahwang family also has gifts along with their crazy family power, and their gifts are what really set them apart. The principal reveals a little tidbit about how the people of the Bahwang family once underwent a tragic slaughter. But before he spills any more details, the commentator grabs their attention as both combatants are engaged in an intense back and forth. One rich guy throws a jab at Yao's father, really curious to see how far the Bahwang family can go. The battle is intense, with both opponents equally matched in strength. Well, seems like I spoke too soon. Poor lady ends up taking a ton of kicks and blows right after I said that. This bastard finds a weak spot in her defense and begins attacking her relentlessly. This jerk is so dead set on making it to the top 8 that he didn't think twice about hitting a poor girl. Meanwhile, the girls in the crowd are absolutely losing it seeing this ugly bastard. According to the commentator, Yao is at level 1, while this bastard is at level 1.2, putting her at a clear disadvantage. So the commentator is sure that the double eyes spot in the top 8 is inevitable. But Chen isn't sure Yao's going to admit defeat that easily. As she lies there, battered and bruised, her mind drifts back to when her brother was the champion. His efforts got their father's attention. At that time, she really admired her brother for what he'd accomplished. That was when it became her dream to earn her father's approval and respect. But that dream now seems to be slipping away. Her assistant suddenly rushes over to check on her. Of course, as long as Yao's conscious, she's not going to give up. She's more than fine with this bastard. After all, she's waited all this time for this competition, and she's not backing down without proving herself. The bastard thinks working hard just to please someone else is ridiculous. As far as he's concerned, it's all about being proud of one's own strength. With those wise words, he lunges toward her. But she does her best to stand her ground and goes toe-to-toe with him. Eventually, the bastard lands another hard punch, causing her arm bone to crack. The strike is so fierce that she skids a few feet backward. The fact that this boy is fighting with all his might is because his father needs a kidney transplant, so winning this prize money is absolutely mandatory. With that in mind, he throws another punch. She swings her punch in return, and when the two forces collide, both contestants get sent flying backward. It looks like she's ended up with both hands totally busted. This bastard is also surprised by how she's able to withstand his power. Finally, he unleashes all his power, his muscles bulging. With all his aura unleashed, he starts throwing a relentless barrage of punches. Poor Yao can barely block these attacks with her busted hands, but she has no choice but to endure. With the final devastating punch, he sends her sliding backward. He orders her to give up before he beats her even more. But Yao sticks to her guns and isn't willing to quit just because her opponent is a little too formidable. She awakens her inner Super Saiyan, and that sheer aura of hers sends that bastard flying backward. Chen is amazed to see this display of power coming from her. As far as he understands, it seems to be the gift of the Bahwang family. In this world, they sacrifice their lives just to gain strength. It's actually pretty similar to Chen's curse. The more you get hurt, the stronger you become. It looks like Chen's already figured out who's going to walk away the final victor. The lady takes her stance and launches herself at the bastard. She throws a strike so devastating that his mouth literally coughs up a huge amount of blood, sending him flying across the arena. That single hit knocks him out of the fight, finally putting him down for the count. The lady starts to collapse from exhaustion, but her assistant catches her and congratulates her on securing the victory at the last second. Her supporters erupt in applause. Meanwhile, her father looks less than pleased. He's embarrassed that she had to resort to her trump card just to win a measly match. Cut to the treatment room, where the two beaten contestants are resting. There, she apologizes to her opponent, especially since he desperately needed the money. But the guy's not sweating it. With his current power level, he can easily land a bodyguard job and make enough to pay for his father's surgery. Still, she offers him her scholarship, wanting to give him a chance at a brighter future and help his sick father. Out in the hallway, outside the treatment room, Chen is deep in thought about Yao. He's genuinely concerned. She didn't hesitate for a second to push herself to the brink just to win. Looks like he's got a tough opponent to deal with. The next day arrives, and it's finally the finals of the college entrance examination. Predictably, the two contestants are Chen and Yao, who's already determined to win at all costs. Her father, meanwhile, is still disappointed in her. This guy is just impossible to please. Meanwhile, Chen's already figured out how to deal with her secret technique. His plan is to knock her out right from the start, before she has time to power up. Not to mention her power level is relatively lower than his, so she's no match for him in raw strength. But it seems she's already onto his plan. She injures herself with her sharp claws, and when he kicks her, she blocks it with her hand. The kick only serves to boost her stats, increasing her power even further. Of course, Chen's caught off guard. He didn't plan for this development. Her abilities are exactly like his. He pulls off some acrobatic stunts to retreat, but she's already chasing him down, delivering a devastating kick right to his face. Chen gets back up, but she follows up with a punch right to his nose. She doesn't stop there. She continues to barrage him with punches, each one increasing his stats further. The lady relentlessly beats the hell out of his handsome face. But since he's gaining strength with every hit, Chen's actually enjoying it. He looks so damn charming while taking the beating that Yao blushes for a second. Chen takes this opportunity and strikes her with a kick of his own. He relentlessly throws blow after blow, eventually knocking her backward. Poor girl's battered and bruised. Just as he's about to kick her out of the arena, she suddenly starts levitating in the air. It seems she's finally pushed past her limits, and even her appearance changes, showing that she's tapped into some forbidden power. Her newfound strength shocks even her hard-to-please father. No one in the Bahwang family has made a breakthrough this quickly in decades. It seems she's finally managed to earn her father's approval, for the first time in her life. Her father sees her now as an absolute treasure for the family. Meanwhile, the lady up in the air is simply throwing power beams without even moving an inch. That's when Chen decides to use his Donald Trump card. He raises the tariff by grabbing her from behind, which causes her to blush hard. He catches her off guard when he reminds her that she still hasn't repaid him for the food he gave her that day. She remembers the gesture. She's grateful for it, especially since he was the only light in her darkest hour. But she can't afford to lose this victory. Not after everything she's sacrificed. Chen reminds her that she's literally burning her life away for this forbidden power. If she dies here, she won't be able to fulfill the promise she made. Yao's mind is fixated on winning. She tosses him aside and retaliates with an attack of her own. Chen quickly shields himself, but she's exhausted now. Finally, she starts to fall, spent from the fight. As usual, Chen catches the damsel. Just then, an interviewer rushes in, excited that Chen's finally won. But Chen isn't in the mood to celebrate. He ignores the reporters completely. His only concern right now is Yao, who's on the brink of death. Suddenly, the bald examiner steps in and cuts Chen's path. Chen simply shakes his hands with Baldy and proceeds to walk past, uninterested in stopping for the ceremony. He doesn't have time to celebrate or take in the praises. The guy couldn't care less about formalities, so long as he is getting paid. The reporters are furious, watching him ignore the ceremony. Out of the blue, Chen's principal whispers something in his ear, and suddenly, Chen's interest is piqued. Now he's willing to join the ceremony. Both reporters are shocked. How did the principal manage to change Chen's mind when even the examiner failed? And so, the fireworks begin, celebrating Chen's victory. Now under the spotlight, Chen grabs the microphone and starts preaching some righteous nonsense as the cameras roll. While the number 7 high school principal is thrilled with Chen's success, the ex-principal from his old school is fuming. He can't stomach Chen's rise. The crowd is going wild with cheers and applause, while the sister and daughter share an emotional hug. But as the crowd praises him, Chen feels his stat points dropping. He then finally begins his speech. First, he gives a shout-out to his supportive mother. The poor woman is overwhelmed with pride, tears filling her eyes. Then he turns to his sister, expressing gratitude for her support. She's in tears too, seeing her dream of her brother coming on top finally come true. Meanwhile, we cut to the tobacco seller lady, who is also watching Chen's speech through her TV. She is suddenly caught off guard when Chen also expresses gratitude towards her, while calling her with the nickname she hates the most. Chen also makes sure to thank his principal, though he's not sure which one. His current principal or his old one. The ex-principal tries to reconcile, claiming that whatever happened is now in the past. The bastard even offers him 2 million yuan to represent him. The other principal is shocked at the massive amount. Chen finally makes his choice. He turns to the number 2 high school principal. Of course, the bastard feels proud to have bought Chen off with money, proving that money rules everything. Chen continues with his gratitude, thanking his ex-principal for expelling him right before the entrance exams and making him lose his qualifications. He also thanks him for suppressing and insulting him during the competition, which really demoralized him. Without that trash principal, Chen's not sure how he would have ended up at the top. The crowd starts talking about number 2 high school, and parents are already deciding to send their kids to different schools, realizing how terrible the principal is. That bastard's now fuming after getting ridiculed like this. Chen simply flips him the middle finger in return. Meanwhile, Chen makes sure to express his genuine gratitude where it's truly due. He thanks the principal of number 7 high school for discovering his strengths and taking him in as a student. The crowd starts talking positively about the low-ranked number 7 high school, and the principal swells with pride. Reporters swarm the principal for an interview. Chen finally sits back, relishing the moment of his victory. In the present, outside the ward, Chen is eavesdropping, trying to learn about Yao's condition. Yao's father is there, begging the doctor to save his daughter. The doctor delivers devastating news. She can only survive if her spiritual sea is destroyed and her ki energy completely drained. But of course, this power-hungry father doesn't want her to lose the very thing that makes her good in his eyes. She outperformed all the members of the Bahwang family today, and he wants to see her reach even higher. At this, Chen bursts into the room, absolutely pissed off to see this trashy father willing to risk her life just for power. He doesn't let the bastard speak another word and punches him hard across the face. A while later, Chen is back in his bed, his mind preoccupied with the thought of Yao dying. He can't sleep, his thoughts spiraling. Then, a crazy idea hits him. He remembers the circuit board things he got from the space portal. The USBs inside those motherboards contained secret data, and he's sure they might help Yao survive. So he calls that big busted lady, Ma Li, asking if she knows anyone good with hacking or data cracking. Turns out she knows exactly who can help. The next day, Chen arrives at Ma Li's place. where a bunch of busted maids greet them with grace and respect. It seems Ma Li's sister is the one who can help. As fate would have it, Ma Li's sister is already a fan of Chen. After all, he's got a 20-centimeter long cucumber and just thinking about it makes her drool. Her name is Ma Yan, and she's older than Ma Li. Inside her room, she already planted a secret camera to capture every moment with Chen. Ma Li and Chen enter the room, overhearing her thoughts about him, which is pretty embarrassing. Ma Yan quickly spins a tale, claiming she's studying the structure of the male body, which is why she's interested in Chen's cucumber. But Ma Li knows better. All her sister wants is to see Chen pee. Chen flatly refuses to show his ding-dong to anyone like it's public property. Finally, he shows her the USB he wants her to study. Of course, Ma Yan gets riled up. She's never seen a memory card made of this material. Later, once they get to work, she starts her hacking mambo-jumbo. She eventually figures out that inside this chip is an AI with consciousness, and it's impossible to crack its contents. Only large scientific institutions can do that. Well, it looks like Chen has figured out his next move. Molly starts dragging him out of the room since it's way too humid in there. Chen notices the lavish place and asks what her parents do for a living. Molly reveals that she and her sister are orphans. What they have now, they earned themselves. Chen's stunned, desperate to know how they made their money. Molly finally reveals that her sister is the one raking in the big bucks. Each program she produces is worth millions. Seems like making money isn't as easy as it sounds. Since Chen asked his question, she wants to ask him one of her own. Why does he want these files cracked? Chen doesn't care to reveal any details before he gets his hands on the data. She then steers the conversation in a completely different direction, teasing him about how he's going to take her out to dinner and lure her into bed. But she's willing to skip all the formalities and go straight to the action. Chen also gets into the mood when she gets too close. Just as they're about to share a kiss, the big sister suddenly ruins the moment by popping up out of nowhere. It looks like the big sister has finally cracked the files. And these files actually contain a complete set of annotations for human genes. She's going crazy just thinking about it, imagining a day when humans crack all the secrets of Genesis. If that happens, the only thing awaiting humanity is the evolution of the entire race. Chen knows exactly how significant this is. No doubt, these files are incredibly valuable. They could be the greatest discovery found inside the space portal of Qingcheng City. Governments around the world would absolutely do whatever it takes to get their hands on it. So, he must not let everyone get a hold of these files. Ma Yan further reveals that along with the files, there's something called the resurrection potion. It can't bring a dead person back to life, but it can optimize human genes. With enough nutrition, any injury can be healed. Chen is stunned by this, wondering if something like this even exists. Later, Chen can be seen burning the secret files he got from Ma Yan. He's already regretting involving her, as she now knows about the potential of the flash drives he holds. But he had no choice but to rely on her. After all, if he doesn't figure something out soon, Yao will definitely die from system failure within 10 days. After tearing the papers apart, he makes sure to flush them. According to the information inside, the potion is located in Area B. He is relieved that only he knows about this secret. Otherwise, Ma Yan might have gotten her hands on that potion. We then cut to the space portal, where Chen is running as fast as he can. Suddenly, he notices Molly and Ma Yan both following him. He ramps up his speed, leaving the ladies behind. Now that both sisters are exposed, they decide to chase him with everything they've got to get the potion before he does. Along with the two sisters, they also have their maids with them. Chen, on the other hand, is speeding down like a bullet train. To understand how he's gotten this crazy speed, we flash back a little. Chen had injected himself with a toxic substance he got from the space portal after splitting up those mysterious balls. As soon as he injects it, his stats start increasing rapidly, and he feels absolutely euphoric. Now he has enough power to easily defeat a level 2 cultivator like it's nothing. Suddenly, the ladies stop chasing him because Chen has entered the most contaminated space, and stepping any further inside would be suicide. The maids are already feeling the sting of radiation, but Ma Li calls them losers for hitting their limits after only getting this far. Well, she ends up tripping over because of the sudden surge in radiation. Chen finally lets out a sigh of relief after shaking off those ladies. He shifts his attention back to the place known as Area B. Even after an extensive look around, he hasn't been able to find it. Then, he notices the same ball-like thing hovering nearby. He quickly gets closer and starts patting it to get some sort of reaction, but no luck. Frustrated, he punches the wall to his left. Turns out the wall he just punched happens to be a secret gate. He promptly walks inside. Once he goes far enough, a blinding light starts messing with his eyes. In front of him lies a place in total chaos. One of the cars has a Qingcheng City license plate, which is quite shocking to him. He also notices one of the balls. It seems broken, but it's moving. He walks toward it and asks the weird ball for directions to Area B. The ball responds, which is even more shocking. It speaks English. But before Chen can get his full answer, the ball starts malfunctioning again. Chen gets scared and starts bouncing the ball up and down to keep it alive. Then, a busted woman shows up with her katana pointed directly at his throat. This place is actually a parallel space to Qingcheng City, and this woman seems very familiar with it. She demands to know who he is. Chen introduces himself as a harmless French guy. The woman, however, doubts that he's human. She tosses her sword into the air, and it comes down, lodging itself into her head, revealing she is not human. Chen's mind starts flashing red alerts, and he quickly creates some distance from her. Now that she's proven she's not human, she wants him to prove he is. She begins examining his body, and her system confirms that yes, he is human. Chen then takes a big leap into the air and tries to strike her as hard as he can. But the woman simply ducks, and poor Chen ends up hitting a hard pole, causing so much pain that he curls up on the ground. The woman, on the other hand, starts hailing him as a master human and decides to introduce him to her superior. The guy in question suddenly appears on her system window. The woman first gives her superior a report, saying this person refuses to return to the safe zone. The big cheese then bows his head in respect toward Chen. He sincerely requests that Chen get to the safe zone, as he doesn't want a human being to get hurt unnecessarily. Chen has no idea what's going on, so the only thing he does is dash out of there. He's pretty sure no one can match his speed. Turns out, he's wrong. This woman is literally matching his speed without even breaking a sweat. She once again warns him about the dangers ahead. According to the data in her system, humans can't face the enemies alone, and the probability of death is 100%. She then calls out to her multiple clones, surrounding him from every side. She doesn't want him to stay in danger and desperately wants him to get to Area B immediately. The mention of Area B catches Chen's attention. After all, it's the same place where the resurrection potion is located. With that, he finally begins walking alongside her. Chen is hoping that Area B is just around the corner because he's already exhausted. Then, the girl drops the bombshell. Area B is actually located on the moon. That's going to take at least a few dozen days to reach, and he doesn't have that much time. Chen twirls around in happiness when he hears it'll only take 22 hours at best. Later, they arrive at a place where a giant spaceship is docked, with a giant robot guarding it. The robot seems to be spouting random bits, making Chen believe it's just malfunctioning. The android lady suggests not to underestimate these killing machines. In a split second, she draws her sword and slashes the robot down. While she's engaged with the robot, Chen is surrounded by multiple other bots, with all of her clones already dead. The android lady decides to help him, but Chen tells her to stay put. She's only going to make things harder for him. The lady's concerns are legit. If those bullets hit Chen, he'll definitely have a few extra holes. The monsters charge their guns, ready to fire. Chen, on the other hand, draws his own sword, makes a quick dash, and obliterates those androids in just a split second. The android lady is left with her jaw hanging in awe. Chen starts throwing a tantrum, asking why these androids wanted him dead when she sees him as the supreme human. The android finally reveals that these robots were created by aliens with the goal of eradicating humans. She, on the other hand, is a creation of humans who have already escaped to the moon. Chen starts looking around, hoping to catch a glimpse of these aliens, but there's no one in sight. She then reveals that these aliens can't adapt to the bacterial environment on Earth. As soon as they stepped on Earth, they went underground. Chen finds it ironic that aliens went underground, while humans left for the moon, leaving cyborgs to fight each other on the ground. Anyway, he decides to continue their journey to the moon. She points his attention to the battleship they'll be riding. Once they enter it, the battleship zooms through the atmosphere at sonic speed. During their journey, Chen decides to gather some information about the moon before landing. He asks her how many humans live in Area B. Well, the lady doesn't seem to have any information because cyborgs aren't allowed to enter Area B. Chen is clearly disappointed to hear this, so much so that he even gets a stat point for being disappointed. He then asks her how strong the humans are on the moon. Once again, she doesn't have any specifics because she's never met any humans, only learned about them from the data. Once again, Chen is disappointed. By now, he's sure she doesn't know the full set of annotations for human genes either. But contrary to what he just said, she does know this much. Of course, Chen lights up like a happy kid, while the android reveals that it's the name of one of the files in her database, and it's now archived in Area B. Chen then wonders if humans have ever used it. The woman responds with a no, explaining that it's something produced by an alien civilization, so there's a high chance it's a trap they set on purpose. If the files are handled carelessly, it could contaminate the human gene pool. Chen, finally ready to ask the big question he's been dying to know, asks about the resurrection potion. But before she can answer, their spacecraft is attacked, and the emergency sirens blare. They're up against an enemy warship, and a barrage of missiles is already heading their way. She grabs him and rushes him out of the spaceship, telling him they've got 30 seconds before those mass annihilation missiles hit them. The countdown ticks down as they run for their lives. She leads him to this giant robot-like thing and throws him right inside it. Chen sits down in the pilot seat, surrounded by a million buttons and levers, clueless about how to operate this thing. At that moment, the android girl jumps in too, with Chen sitting behind her, thoroughly enjoying the view of her peachy outlines. The missiles are closing in fast, but thankfully, they take off from the ship and the robot just in time. The ship gets obliterated by the missiles, leaving nothing but a smoked spaceship engulfed in flames. A little later, Chen finally sees the moon's surface, with some people already stationed there. Turns out it's the combat unit in Warzone B5. The robot lands, though it's a bit of a rough landing. The soldiers on the ground immediately get to their feet in order to show their respect. The gate opens, only to reveal Chen with her dragon stuck inside the lady's deep and pitch-black den. The guy is clearly enjoying himself, and even the soldiers can't help but drool at the sight. Anyway, the senior guy among them introduces himself as the commander of Unit B5. Chen demands that this guy take him to Area B. Suddenly, though, the enemy shows up on the moon and starts launching missiles, obliterating all the androids standing there. The commander quickly orders his team to cover Chen and escort him out. The damaged androids get back on their feet like walking zombies. Meanwhile, the enemy spaceship starts raining down giant robots. The android lady steps in front of Chen to defend him, materializing her sword. With one quick slash, she cuts down all the cyborgs in her path. Then, one massive robot falls off the enemy spaceship. The two android fighters charge at each other, and this time, the android lady takes the brunt of the attack. Her knees buckle, losing all their strength. Chen jumps into his robot to take down the giant bastard. The piece of junk crashes down with its giant sword raised, but Chen easily ducks out of the way, leaving the sword to hit the empty ground instead. In the next moment, Chen manages to sever the enemy's head in one swift strike. Seeing their master fighting with such determination and bravery, all the androids get back up, guns in hand. The android lady, not wanting Chen to fight alone, chugs down a potion, which heals her wounds instantly, as if nothing ever happened. Turns out, she just drank a resurrection potion, which can easily heal even the most severe injuries. This potion is usually found in Area B, but every commander has it because it was originally developed for the cyborgs. In the wilds, at night, Chen and the android girl sit together. She reveals how cyborgs were originally created to protect humans, but for some mysterious reason, they turned into traitors. Chen, however, is sure there might be a bug in their programming, or maybe their self-awareness is just too strong. But it's no concern of his, he just wants to go home. After all, he's already gotten the resurrection potion he came here for, so there's no reason to risk his life unnecessarily. Chen then suggests that she come back home with him. The lady explains that cyborgs aren't allowed to enter human settlements. Chen, however, clarifies that he's not talking about Area B, but another human-inhabited area where there are no such rules. She can simply stay at his house. His mother's a great cook, and while his sister might be a bit of a yapper, it's only when she talks to him. The cyborg then clarifies that she was originally created to protect humans in Area B, and since she hasn't found the traitor hijacking the androids, she can't leave without fulfilling her duties. Chen, not intending to pressure her, just offers a firm invitation. He then rests his head on her thick thighs. He hands her a rubber chicken, explaining that he can't fall asleep unless he hears the crow of this chicken, so he wants her to squeeze it for him. Naturally, the lady starts squeezing the duck right away, and soon enough Chen is fast asleep. The reason he wanted her to squeeze the duck is that he intentionally wants to be disturbed, so he can gain stat points even while sleeping. What a quirky little bastard. The cyborg lady also gets the hang of it and enjoys watching him sleep. The next day, they fly to the space portal on Earth. They arrive and find enemy aircraft. When Chen insists on getting inside to inspect it, the lady bars his entry. She doesn't want him getting in contact with the spaceship belonging to the alien civilization. Chen asks her if the aliens inside are all dead. As far as she knows, they might still be alive because signals are still alive from the server that controls the robots that attacked them. Chen suddenly gets excited and asks her if she knows where the server is located. She reveals that it's in an old space facility, 10,000 meters below this one. My guy feels smug since he can enter this place, while she's afraid to go inside because she's a cyborg. Humans aren't conductive to electrical signals, so he plans to go inside and turn it off. But as soon as he steps forward, he's shocked to his core the moment his foot touches a hidden laser. The lady is concerned for him, but Chen only feels like he's floating in the clouds as all the stat points pour in. He starts dashing through the lasers, taking damage while racking up stat points. Finally, Chen disables the power grid, and the lasers vanish, clearing the way for the cyborg lady. They continue walking, and soon, they come across a nutcase who claims to be the chief commander of all the cyborgs. The android lady refuses to believe it. As far as she's concerned, Commander Origin is on the lunar space station. But this guy keeps talking, boldly claiming that he's here, and that he and the commander on the lunar station are the same. The lady quickly pulls out her sword and draws it against her commander, accusing him of betraying everyone. But the commander drops a bombshell. He hasn't betrayed anyone. His creator is the alien creature they've been fighting. Now, being the creation of an alien, he plans to eradicate all humans. He's already eliminated everyone on the moon and has been planning this for a long time. Soon he'll eliminate the out-of-control robots and become the ruler of the world. He then walks toward Chen, exuding insane energy. Chen takes his stance, ready to engage in this back and forth. But before he can do anything, that lady backstabs him, quite literally. It turns out she didn't betray him. She's being manipulated by this bastard who holds her doll. Since she's within his radius, he can hijack her cyborg body and use it for his own purposes. As she retracts her sword, she begs Chen to run as far away as he can. But suddenly the gate closes, leaving Chen with no way to escape. The bastard wants to make her kill the very human she regards as a god, just to prove how pathetic humans are. Chen lunges at the bastard, but he quickly moves so fast that he dodges the incoming blow effortlessly. The bastard then uses the android lady as a cushion, and she ends up taking Chen's next attack. He reveals that what he used was teleportation, not speed. Even if Chen catches up to him, he'll just use the android lady as his defense. Chen decides to change his strategy. He walks up to the lady and simply asks her to take back control of her body for his sake. She's sweating, trying her best, but failing. Chen continues to encourage her, and eventually, she pushes past the control and severs the wavelength hijacking her body. In the next second, she draws her sword against the bastard. But the bastard intensifies his control, causing her to fall under his command again. The digital threads controlling her are too overwhelming for her to handle on her own. Eventually, she's fully under his control. This bastard is proving to be a real drag to deal with, especially with his teleportation skills. The android lady charges at Chen again, but he does his best to dodge, narrowly avoiding every blow. Chen tries to snap her out of it, but she doesn't seem to be aware of him at all. Finally, she strikes him in the back with enough force to make blood spill everywhere. But this is when she finally snaps out of the bastard's control. The android lady begins to exude an aura so powerful that even Tate would feel ashamed. She looks so fierce that even Chen and that bastard over there begin to panic. It turns out she has activated the self-destruct mode. She would rather die than take her master's life. As her body burns away, she walks toward Chen, telling him to grab her. As soon as he does, she transforms into this high-tech katana. Chen unsheathes it and dashes with godlike speed, slicing that bastard into 2 equal pieces. But before the bastard could be completely incinerated, he transfers his consciousness into a body located on the lunar space station. He issues a warning before completely vanishing. Chen doesn't hesitate to throw a jab of his own. He's ready to destroy these so-called aliens along with these trash bots. Suddenly, the spaceship starts showering Chen with acidic rain, burning him. Of course, this only gives him the much-needed stat boost he deserves. Seizing the opportunity, he literally begins gathering all this poisonous stuff as if it were some kind of immortality elixir. A while later, he finds himself back at Tobacco Lady's shop, looking absolutely tired from life. She then complains about how the space portal in Qingcheng City sucks, and suggests he check out Mount Rolla, the space portal with the highest entry fee in the country. Chen accepts the invitation card, though he still hasn't decided if he really wants to go. After all, he just spent his entire day at the space portal, and his body is begging for some well-deserved sleep. Getting back to business, Chen reflects on how his trip to the space portal proved quite rewarding, as he managed to salvage 2 bottles of poison, which is more than enough for key energy enhancement. By the way, that android lady's name is BB. Since she's currently in katana form, Chen decides to keep her around until he finds a cure to turn her back into a cyborg. He currently has 2 bottles of resurrection potion, one for his sister and one for Bahuang Yao. A Cheshire Cat's smile spreads across his face, just thinking about all the cash he's going to haggle out of the Bahuang family in exchange for the potion. The next day, he arrives at the Bahuang family mansion. The building is so extravagantly massive that he is totally awestruck. Although he knew the Bahuang family was rich, they seemed to be even wealthier than the Ma Li family. And this is only their house in Qingcheng City. He can't even imagine how extravagant their place must be in the capital. Chen finally meets the head of the family, who doesn't waste any time with pleasantries, and wants to confirm if he actually has the stuff he is claiming to possess. Chen simply responds with, yes. The two get into negotiations, and after a lot of back and forth like true men, they settle on 6.5 million. Of course, the head is absolutely losing his mind after encountering such hardcore negotiation for the first time in his life. In the end, the head receives the potion he desperately desired, while Chen gives him detailed instructions on how to use it. The doting father makes it clear that if it turns out to be a scam, Chen is going to be in deep trouble. The assistant decides to take Chen along to deliver the transaction money. Once Chen is gone, the shady father suggests to this shady guy to split the potion into 2 parts and inject half into his daughter, while save the half of it for their experiment. Then we cut to Ma Yan's computer room, where a secret agent reports to Ma Yan about Chen's last known whereabouts. She also reveals that he seems to have gotten his hands on something valuable at the space portal, which only piques Ma Yan's curiosity. Cutting to Chen Yu's bedroom, Chen grits his teeth because he can't witness the full effect of the resurrection potion. So he's reluctant to give it to his sister. The only way he can see it work is if he can somehow get into the capital city and watch Yao being healed with his own eyes. That's when he remembers the invitation letter from the capital university, which grants access to the Mount Rolla space portal trial. He figures he can participate in the trial in Mount Rolla since it's in the capital. With that thought, he downs the potion to boost his ki energy as much as possible. As soon as that nasty stuff hits his stomach, he starts racking up ki energy like crazy. A staggering 21,000 ki energy. This enormous boost grants him level 1.5, but it comes at a steep cost. Chen ends up gaining access to N-Pass. We then cut to the escort car parking point. Military personnel are stationed there. One of the guys announces to them that the escort team will be setting off for the capital city soon. He hopes everyone gets on board as quickly as possible. Anyone left behind will be on their own. Meanwhile, Chen is doing his best to hide his face, trying not to attract attention because of his new skin color. But of course, he still gets recognized by that blondie bastard. At this point, the only thing Chen can do is regret his hasty decision back then. That stuff he took was 10 times more toxic than a classic bitch, so it's no surprise his body couldn't handle it all at once. And so, bro ended up earning the N pass. His busted tobacco friend is also shocked when she sees the other side of Chen. She's so taken aback that she faints immediately. Back to that blonde bastard, he's quite surprised that Chen is here after all. So many people wish they could enter the space portal in Mount Rolla for free, but only the top students of Chingcheng University and Capital University are allowed in. However, we all know there's nothing money can't buy, so Chen ends up booking a seat for himself at a cost of around 50,000 wen. To put that in perspective, 50,000 wen is basically 5 months' salary for an average person. In this package, Chen will receive protection from top-tier, high-level cultivators. Once he boards the vehicle, he attracts plenty of attention because of his prominent skin color. To avoid any unwanted eyes, he decides to take the last seat. At the back sits Duan Ye, the top scorer in Ho City. Duan Ye is out here having the time of his life, drinking with his legs stretched all over the place. Chen simply requests that he retract his long legs a little. This dude, being a big drug enthusiast, demands a specific type of drug as a condition for Chen to sit there. Though Chen doesn't have exactly what Duan Ye wants, he offers an alternative, a drug that's even better when consumed with alcohol. Duan Ye accepts, and as a result, Chen not only secures a seat but also gains a good travel partner. Duan Ye then introduces himself properly to Chen. As we already know, his name is Duan Ye, the top scorer in Ho City. Chen recalls how Ho City was destroyed and Duan Ye confirms it. Shortly after, that same blonde bastard arrives, revealing that Duan had to take the exams in Shizhou City, meaning he's actually the top scorer there. Because of his stubbornness, the Shizhou Education Bureau didn't give him the cash award he wanted. Duan is proud of where he was born. His heart will always be in Ho City, no matter where he lives in the world. Chen then introduces himself, mentioning he's the top scorer of Qingcheng City. Hearing this, Duan becomes absolutely enraged and aggressively grabs Chen by the collar. As far as he is concerned, it's probably the Qingcheng people who did something shady to make the beast tide change direction and target Ho City. Of course, Chen knows nothing about this. In fact, no one really knows why it happened. Hearing this, Duan's demeanor shifts 180 degrees, plastering a broad smile on his face after learning that Chen had no hand in the fall of his city. Apparently, this dude is determined to find out why the beast tide changed direction, and he wants to exact revenge for all the fallen people of Ho City, as well as for his parents. When night strikes, the personnel finally stop their journey so the passengers can get some well-deserved rest. While a few guards watch over the vehicles, a shady figure in the woods lunges at his first target and takes it down. That figure lands right on top of the car in which Chen is resting. Our boy can tell that trouble has officially arrived, while his travel partner is totally wasted, trying to find all the hot moms in this area on his phone. Soon, everyone in the car begins to panic as they hear someone trying to demolish the roof. Apparently, there's a helicopter overhead that hoists Chen's car and takes it off. Inside the helicopter is a red-headed bastard wielding a massive chain gun. His mission seems to be to hunt down talented individuals in order to instill despair in the common people. His intentions are still unclear, but he wants the common folk to feel despair and fear in order to prepare them for the future of mankind.